Detective? Thank you, sir.
Officer, you want to tell me what's going on here?
Oh, you know. Routine shit. Got a 17-year-old boy and his Great Dane.
It's brutal.
Tell me about it. Police reports say that they've both been stabbed 57 times in the chest. Disgusting.
Judging by the blood splatter patterns, seems like it was done with a broadsword.
It's funny you say that, Detective. Locals say that, they saw a, Black Knight that did it. But who knows?
It's fucking brutal.
Seems, Detective, seems we got a mystery on our hands. Detective?
Man, you all right, Detective? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
I know what I gotta do.
Keith Giffen, what do you have in store for me this time? Oh, you'll have to wait. Hello?
Ryan.
Speaking?
It's me. It's me. It's Danny.
Daniel who?
You know, from the podcast. We did a podcast a couple years ago.
I do a lot of podcasts, Daniel. Joe Rogan was the most recent.
We talked about Scooby Duo. Yeah. It's all coming back now, isn't it? We have to return. It's our duty. After everything we predicted, after everything that this world has gone through, they need one thing, and that's us.
Where are you?
I'm solving a murder mystery right now, but I can drop it at a moment's notice. And I can come find you. What? Is this your house? There was a child and a dog murdered, like, right there.
I didn't know that. Come on. Come on, let's go.
If we're gonna come back and record a new episode, we gotta figure out what the fuck our rating system was.
I remember it so like vaguely, but I just don't know what the order was.
It was definitely these words.
Yeah.
But we might just have to sit down and talk this one out.
You want to talk it through?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so that's the rating system. It's right there, laid out in front of everybody. So
We did it.
we did it. We
Thank
figured
you
it
for
out.
joining in again, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye. Good night, Liz.
Take a ride in the mystery machine, Scooby Duo. Na 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 na.
So, the world ended.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back. The world ended.
The world ended, and we were so right.
We called it.
Everything, every
Quite frankly,
detail,
we called it.
every election, every disease, every natural disaster, every single sports bet. We called every of it, and every bit of it. We didn't get any money for it.
So much so that we actually edited out a significant amount of what we were joking about COVID in the original run of this show.
With
That it's
with the pandemic stuff, dude, we cut out a lot pertaining to that because we were like, this is a new issue. It's getting sensitive. We probably shouldn't joke about it. And we went back and we listened to the footage and we were spot on.
We joked about, no, it was like January of 2020. We recorded most of the episodes for the show. And in that single month, we spent, I think, 2 episodes calling back to the fact that COVID was a disease that was going to come to America. And then it did, and that was the thing that ended the show. That was the thing that ended the show.
We were just like, this is getting a little serious. We need to take a break from this. And then what happened after that? We finished school. We had a year at home.
Well, I had to move out of my apartment because I couldn't afford it anymore from getting laid off.
Yes.
Spent a year back living with my parents. Finishing school, both of us.
We finished school at home, and then we went back for our final year. But we had a year from home, which was wild.
And then, you won't believe this, but COVID-19 made it really hard to find work for a long time.
A little difficult. Harder than usual. Harder
to afford driving an hour to each other's house to talk about Scooby Doo every fucking week.
We were just like, did you see this episode? No. You want to watch it and drive all the way over here and set up a whole set and talk about it? No. It used to be so simple.
We would just walk over to my apartment.
I would walk to his apartment. We'd watch it once.
We'd get some brisks.
We'd get some brisks.
And we'd shoot the shit. I had a really bad asthmatic cough at the time.
Yeah, it was great.
And for those of you who don't know, this is a show called Scooby Duo, the only show on the internet where 2 idiots go episode by episode through Scooby Doo and analyze every single deeper detail. This is a different scenario. We're actually doing a special today. We'll get into it in a bit.
We did something for this.
But this is also the very first video version of the Scooby Duo.
Very first video version, and it's our first episode since the world ended.
Since 2020. Since like January, February 2020.
And the painful thing is all that work, because every week, every week, I would meet up, we'd watch an episode, and then we'd watch it a second time, taking notes, and we'd get everything set up, and we'd sit, we'd brainstorm for a minute, and then we'd talk. And we made a whole rating system. We would understand all these different motifs and themes. We were writing down notes on the overall story of it was Crystal Cove, right?
It was Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated.
Mystery Incorporated, and it was amazing. It was so fun, and then the world ended. So now we're back, and we're coming back at the lowest note.
Yes, I mean, you could tell by the title and the thumbnail, most likely, if you clicked on this.
I'm going to keep it a big mystery.
But we are reuniting in a different format, and this might be, if we do more episodes of this show, we'll be in this format as well.
Yes, until
we figure something out.
We figure out some stuff to just get back onto regular, because it was so fun. But it's just tough with the commute and
having jobs and all that shit. I mean, we had jobs before, but we also lived within proximity of each other, and we were working together constantly.
Yeah, now it's just everything is crazy. But
who would have thought not having insurance made life difficult?
Not me.
However, this video is a special. It is the Velma Holiday Special.
So,
as well.
Yeah.
As at the time of recording, the Holiday Special is now the final episode of Velma.
I am so happy about that. I didn't give a shit about any of this until I learned that it was the end. And then I cared. So Mindy Kaling.
Right. We're going to get into the production of this in a bit.
She pisses me off on this one. I'll get into it.
Ultimately, we teetered on the idea of bringing the show back, I think.
A bunch.
With the first season of Velma.
Yes.
And then you would text me and be like, should we? Should we do this? And I watched it, and you didn't at the time, because it was miserable. It was truly miserable. I watched it at the time, and I kind of texted you back, and I was like, we can't do an episode by episode discussion of this show because there is nothing here.
Yeah.
And then season 2 came out, and you texted me again, and you were like, Danny, there's 2 seasons now. And I was like, all right, maybe we can do a special. We can make a big special spectacular episode of Velma to make it worthwhile. And that was the plan. Yes, Velma season 2 only came out this year.
Yeah.
This year. I watched
Velma
it.
is just as notable as the rest of the Scooby Doo stuff, just for the wrong reasons.
Correct.
It is worth talking about, but we're going to say different things.
Yes. and then for a little bit, we had scheduled this and we were going to do this on just Velma season 1 and 2. We're just going to do a massive Velma like special episode where we do like a 3-hour dissection of the 2 seasons of Velma. And then I saw more Velma was coming out. I looked up Twitter or whatever and it was like, by the way, here's the trailer for the holiday special of Velma, 40 minutes long. And that was it. I texted you and I was like, this is what the episode is. I sent you the post. And it was
just a boiling point. We couldn't sit on it any longer. With the amount of effort we put in for the first round of Scooby Doo, when we were actually enjoying it, it sucked so much to be on the sidelines watching this big thing happening on the side, this big shadow looming over, and apparently tainting the name of Scooby Doo, and all it's insulting, or it makes fun of the source material. All these little things that we kept hearing, and just he had seen it and I hadn't. And the thing is, I wanted to watch it for this podcast when we brought it back.
So the format of this is kind of in a way, Ryan has just watched it, and I watched it when it came out. So like I watched season 1 last year, and I watched season 2 like a couple months ago.
Yeah, but
we both this week watched the holiday special together.
And oh my God, is it something special to talk about?
It is special.
It is so nice.
It is so special.
I'm excited. It is the most special I've seen in a while.
Yeah. So this is
baby.
This is going to be fun. However, the viewers at home, some of you have probably seen Velma. Some of you have probably watched like YouTube videos about Velma, like the video. Like
so here's the thing. To get out of watching it, I was looking through for recaps or breakdowns. There's so little. There's reviews.
There's very little like recaps and breakdowns.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like commentary videos. Yeah. A lot of like that type of shit.
That kind of stuff.
And I think that is what that's what this is. But
yeah, but I took notes. Like we went through. We went through it all. And we found there are some good beats here and there. There's a couple good things we'll go through. But
I will call out though Scott from NerdSync. Do you know that channel?
I think so.
So he used to be a very like comic book focused channel, and in the last few years he's gone in a direction where he's doing stuff he's more interested in, and specifically Scooby Doo. So he's like the biggest like Scooby Doo channel.
Oh, great choice. We're coming after you though.
And I think he's great. And his videos on Velma I think have been the best videos I've ever seen on Velma. And his videos have been the ones that like I think hit a lot of the points. So if you're watching this and you like our attitudes, or you like you want to see someone who's a truly passionate Scooby Doo fan talk about Velma as the disappointment that a lot of people felt it was.
Yeah.
Watch his videos as well. We're going to talk about it too, but those videos I will say, of all like the commentary videos, his are really good because he's someone who like loves Scooby Doo as much, if not more than us. Like he's watched every single fucking thing. So I wanted to point that out.
We'll get back on that horse, and hey, we're going to catch up. We're back into this stuff now because Velma, what a great reason to come back into it. You know, I just can't think of like a better like cold plunge,
right? Like
a better like AED defibrillator that we needed just to get our asses back in a chair. Because
I think what made making this show originally really fun is that we were really enjoying the thing.
That's the best part. I'd never seen Mystery Incorporated like as a kid or anything. I was always like the original ones or What's New Scooby Doo or the movies and all that stuff. But Mystery Incorporated, I remember when it came out, seeing the commercials for it, but I never actually watched it. But then when we started bringing out the podcast and I realized it's a connected story, that was so cool because every episode was its own individual monster mystery, stuff that we always know and love, but it had this connecting story woven throughout all of them. And that just made you like care a little bit more about what's happening in the next episode. It had like a hook. Like other Scooby-Doo series are all kind of like popcorn, just kind of like pick at them and pick your favorite ones. But damn, it was good.
As a kid, Scooby-Doo was like the one thing that it was the first thing that I was like completionist about. Because like Scooby-Doo, if you grew up in like the late 90s, early 2000s, was like a thing where the DVD, you would watch it through DVDs mostly.
Yeah. I
And the
remember going to
DVDs were
Blockbuster.
always cheaper than the other DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
Like the movie DVDs were always really expensive, but like a Scooby Doo DVD would be at like Circuit City. Remember Circuit City?
Yeah.
Or like, and it would be really cheap, and you could just get it, and it would have like 4 to 6 episodes on it. I watched all of What's New Scooby Doo like that. I had the box set. There's a black box set that every kid had when I was little of all the What's New Scooby Doo, and season 3 was the new Scooby Doo movies.
My house was a big VHS house for Scooby Doo. I mean, I don't know if there's we got rid of a lot of them, but we had like a big cabinet just stacked with Scooby Doo individual or like 2 episode VHS tapes, and they weren't labeled.
Yeah.
So I would, like with my family, whenever I wanted to watch Scooby Doo, we'd grab one and just put it in.
Right.
Fast forward. Oh, it's not the one I wanted to see. And you just eject it. And then you go to the next one. And then every now and then you'd find one. You're like, have I seen this one? Or is it something I haven't seen in years? And you just sit there and you watch it.
Right.
I mean, recently, actually, with one of our buddies, a guy named Isaac, I was online just bored. And I just went online, looked up like an episode of Scooby Doo and put it on. And he just said, can you share your screen? I just turned it on. We just sat there. It's silence. Not a word. Just sat there and watched the whole episode of Scooby Doo. And he was just like staring at it. Then it finished. I was like, well, that was pretty good. And he's like, yeah, it's just the best.
It's
just
the most
put it on.
watchable, fun cartoon. That's how the show started. I used to play Scooby Doo in the living room at my apartment pretty much like all day. If I wasn't watching something, like I would have it on, like I would have my laptop out, I'd be working, I'd be doing whatever I'm doing. I'd have like Scooby Doo just running because you just put it in and then it runs through all the episodes and then you go back to the beginning. And you would come over and we'd work on shit and we'd just have like, all right, the Black Knight's episode is going on. We'll just sit here.
That's how we filmed Door.
There's literally skits on this YouTube channel that reference the fact that Scooby Doo was always on in the apartment.
Yeah, like it just was always around. So we figured we might as well draw attention to it and talk about why it's so good.
Right.
But Velma was something special.
That is the thing I'm worried. That's the thing that I think is the most is why I hesitated to do this so much. This specifically,
Yeah.
because I love writing and talking about movies in a critical way and in like in an informative and entertaining way, but I don't like negatively doing it.
I don't like
It's
just
not-
dunking on stuff. It's not fun if you can't actually like pull it apart and see the intentions or anything. And unfortunately, I guess like the long story short with Velma and how I felt with it would just be, it felt like it was created by people that don't like Scooby Doo, and somehow as like a prank or as just some malicious way they just obtained the IP and decided just to fuck with it.
Yeah,
And it just felt bad. It didn't feel genuine. It didn't even feel like a good effort either. That was like a big one for me.
absolutely. And I think we can get into that, especially when we start talking about like season 1 and the production of this.
Oh, yeah.
That there is an interesting way this could have been made. And I feel like they did everything in their power to do the opposite. But so that's the thing is it makes me, especially because we're filmmakers and we are creative people who do creative things. I would hate to watch like a 2-hour video of someone being like, this fucking sucks and this has this and that. It's so like.
No, I have no intention of just smearing
Right.
it because there's plenty of that online.
Yeah.
But when you're looking at it and you watch it with genuine criticism and wanting it to be good and then it just falling short of like a mark that you drew for it, it's just the show has like a lot of errors and a lot of weird decisions that I can't help but feel like the only reason that you would make that is because you were pissed off.
Right.
And it just felt like a lot of things were written just trying to make fun of the IP as a whole. And yeah, of course, like a fan base that
It
just
makes-
has like this nostalgic lens of it. They hold it close and they're like, yeah, it's just like a comfort thing for them. It's just kind of like, why are you stepping in here just to kind of screw with things? And
Yeah.
it's just like a weird decision.
It makes for something that is actually just kind of boring. Like it makes for an experience that is like,
Yes.
because the thing is,
Yes.
Scooby-Doo is always, it's not like it's been this juggernaut. Like it's not like Star Wars or Batman.
No.
Or like I say those in particular because recently there has been Star Wars and Batman related properties that have to do with the artist hating the audience that have been compelling. But it's Scooby-Doo. So it's always kind of been like this more niche thing for kids and for people who like something a little softer and stuff like that. So the fact that they took it and they went, so it feels very like early 2010s when the adult animation boom was happening, when they were like, let's make a cartoon, but it's about puberty and kids fucking coming and stuff.
But he's evil, or let's make it about these kids, but now they're all adults and
it's just like the Family Guy art style and the which is Scooby Doo did do an explicitly like full comedy take on the Scooby Doo characters with, unfortunately, the Family Guy art style. And it was fun. It was cool. Like, it looked bad, to be fair.
Yeah.
I wasn't excited. It was called Be Cool Scooby-Doo.
Yep, with a celebrity guest every week, right?
No. That one was great.
Or a cameo.
It was that was called like Scooby-Doo and Guess Who. That was really fun.
No, I'm getting. I can picture exactly what you're talking about. It's the one where Fred had like a huge nose.
It's the one where they had the Family Guy eyes and they kind of were always faced like. But the thing is, when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is like genuinely cute and funny, and you can tell the people who made this like cared enough about the characters to make actual jokes with them and not just like a different show with a Scooby-Doo skin.
Yeah.
but before we talk about it, we're about to talk about Velma. I wanted to crack out a celebratory little snack.
Oh boy!
If you recognize this, these when I was a kid, these were called candy cigarettes, but now they're called candy sticks.
Candy sticks. Nothing else suggested. Have you ever seen the gum ones where if you blow in them, it actually like they have powdered sugar. So you blow in them, and it actually like makes a puff.
I don't like this. I don't like that.
I used to get those all the time. They actually have a wrapper that looks like a cigarette.
Really?
Yes. This was like the degree that candy cigarettes went to, but they were like one of my favorite candies. But they were gum.
Really?
They weren't like the sugar sticks that you just kind of chew on.
When I was a kid, it was always just this. It was just like it had Spider-Man on the outside or Scooby-Doo. And here, you grab one.
Oh no. He's
was that broken? No, that's what they were.
I know. They're so good.
That was broken. You like them? Okay, cool. So to celebrate the Scooby Duo coming back, there's our Scooby Doo candy cigarette, candy stick, sugar fucking thing. Ah,
there you go.
Yummy.
Yeah.
Well, that makes for upsetting noises to listen to, but I'm going to chew away from camera.
Oh, God.
When I was a kid, I really hated these. And then when I was still a kid, but I was an older kid, I had one after years, and I was like, oh, those are kind of like a nice soft sweetness.
It's just a stick of pure sugar.
Sugar with like a hint of something.
Sugar.
It tastes like bubblegum flavor or something.
Yeah.
It's like bubblegum flavoring and sugar, just like as a stick.
It's just sugar. This is like what diabetic people need, like an emergency.
Oh. But yeah, that's the first snack of the episode. That's the candy sticks, which means it's time for us to start doing a recap of Velma. And although this show is typically an episode-by-episode breakdown, we will get to the main subject of this episode, which is the holiday special.
We just want to catch you up to speed real quick on – because the holiday special is not standalone. Right. It is just a continuation of Season 2's finale, but Halloween-themed. And it is worth at least going through a couple of the brief notes of what the show is about, what the dynamics are, and who's who, and like what it is.
Especially because I think the show wasn't good.
Yeah.
And it became – famously, the first 2 episodes of the show were the highest viewed animated thing ever on streaming.
Just pure hate watch.
Purely out of hate watching. Yeah. But
I heard that Season 2 was also made at the same time as 1.
So yeah, I want to get into that when we get there, I guess.
Yeah.
But
because there was a lot of rumors I saw that like the hate watching birthed the Season 2, and I was like, no, they
okay, so we'll get into it now.
Yeah.
So
fuck it.
Yeah. So hate watching isn't like a thing that can carry a show. Right?
Things are produced. They have to have a plan, and shows take a long time to make. And it's not like hate watching magically gives you the budget to make a Season 2, nor the momentum. Like you still need to have good PR.
Because streaming numbers are hard to get, but unless they're publicly announced.
Yeah.
But they don't legally have to announce them like TV channels have to.
Yeah.
So with this show, because it was the most watched animated episodes ever or whatever on streaming, according to HBO, nobody continued watching episode 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. episode 1 and 2 had the biggest viewership.
Yeah, they crushed, and then people
no
saw
one watched the
show,
rest.
and they're just like, I kind of don't want any more. And it wasn't released all at once. It was an episode weekly thing, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, because I remember going back to it and thinking episode 3 was slightly better than episode 1 and 2, so maybe this will get better. And then every week slowly getting into it and like getting into the plot or whatever, or getting into whatever the fuck the show was doing and being like,
I don't think I've seen, at least in recent memory, a show that is so much just have something happen just to create an excuse for a one-liner joke and then just resolve it.
But also the season 2 was dropped all at once.
Yeah.
And I think that's a sign that they knew it was not going to be successful and that they knew they didn't have the viewership.
I think they wanted a hate-watching wave where everybody could get through it all at once, because that burns off.
But
you
the
say
thing
something's
is,
bad enough, it will burn off as if you're trickle releasing episodes.
as we remember, the reason why Velma season 1 premiered with such high viewership is because it was like super heavily marketed.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. But Velma season 2 just kind of dropped. There was no marketing. Like, there was some marketing, obviously, but there was no marketing push. It just it came out one day and I saw it there and I was like, oh, this came out today? Like, there was not as much confidence put into it. And I think they knew it was going to flop. And the way animated shows have been being made on streaming, I've talked to people who have worked on some of these, and I've listened to interviews with like Kevin Smith, who did the He-Man show and all that stuff, which was incredible. The way they order these streaming animated shows is that they order them in a batch of like a regular length season. So something that's like 20 episodes or something that's like the length of a regular season.
Yeah.
And then they batch release it. They release it in like, and Castlevania did this too. Like if you watch Castlevania, the first season's like 3 episodes long.
Yeah.
And then the second season picks up exactly where it leaves off. But like He-Man, same thing. And Velma is kind of the same.
The goal is to tell a story, and then they just decide the lines to cut it out to release it, pretty much.
Right.
So
To
they do
make
it all in
it
one go,
bite-sized.
and then they decide where the chopping points are for in and outs. And that's kind of how the show came to be as much as it was. They ordered a lot in the beginning, marketed the hell out of it to try and make back what they spent into it, and just, I assume, failed at that.
Yeah. And then once this holiday special came out, they released the trailer for the holiday special days before it came out.
Yeah.
And then it came out, and then they canceled it the next
And
day.
they canceled the fucking show.
They canceled the show.
They canceled the show in the middle of all this. You're talking about the episode and all this new stuff coming out, and then it releases, and they just axe it immediately. It was beautiful. I can't imagine like a better ending.
It was
my favorite part. This is a bit of a spoiler. The ending of the Halloween special seems to hint that they wanted more.
Yeah, it ends
But I think
in a way that's so clearly like, and here's what the plot of the next season is going to be about.
The last words of it, I believe, are, but by who? And then it cuts to credits.
You know, I think the last words of it
Something
are,
like that.
thank you, Richard Kind. We'll get into that. Okay. That's I think the best part about this is that we are too like, oh man, I keep popping that. I keep popping the mic. But we are two absolutely buffoon idiots.
We are
And
as dumb as you can possibly get.
And at least we'll have fun discussing whatever the fuck this is.
I will say, for as dumb as we are, though, they give you Scooby Doo IP and writing for like, just give us an hour to write one episode.
Like a 1 hour episode, or give us 1 hour time
1 hour
to come
in a
up with
room
one?
to come up with an episode. Dude, we'd have a banger.
Yeah, and I think
All this like pent up rage and ideas and all the analysis, especially with Velma right here as the catalyst, and you can just want to fucking like write some Scooby Doo.
Yeah, and I don't even think I have some Scooby Doo story ideas I've like written down, but I don't even think it's a thing about like super fandom. Like a lot of fans of something would write an absolutely terrible episode of a show.
Yeah,
but like you gotta know something about, like you gotta have some idea of what makes an interesting story.
Anybody can have an idea, but it does take like somebody writing and doing a good job to make it a good execution of the idea. That's like why writers are hired. You can always be like, oh, I have a million good ideas for how this thing could have gone. Yeah, but the other 80% of what was written was pretty good and you don't even notice it.
Right.
It's a lot of work. And to write like a whole show like this, you got to think about how long it is compared to a movie. It's huge.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things you have to keep carrying over. I can't fault them for dropping the ball on some, but it's just the backbone of the writing on this one. Like just it felt like every time they had to write something, there's like a big message on the wall that, they're stuck and they're like, what can I write? And, you look up at the wall and you see the cat hanging that says like, hang in there. It just, you look up on the wall.
It says simile.
It just.
Make a simile. Oh, this reminds me.
Relief.
No,
awkward pun.
Every other joke in the show is like, oh man, that's as bad as when this thing happened. And it's just like.
It's Family Guy.
It's Family Guy, but without the cutaway.
It's like, well, Family Guy made that joke once where it's just like, this is as bad as the time where we don't have cutaways. And everybody just stands there for like 5 seconds as if like there's supposed to be a cutaway.
It's like, what are you doing? It's like, oh, the cutaway is supposed to play.
Yeah, the cutaway's playing. We take a smoke break now or something.
Yeah.
It was that, but they got rid of that downtime. You'd be like, this is as bad as this one thing happened.
It's like
and then they just keep talking.
It's
and
like
you're like, what the fuck are you alluding to? What happened?
It's like a moist critical joke. Like he's like I'm as tarnished as a poopy butthole could be after being wiped too hard. Like it's like that's the level. And when he's doing it, he's making it up on the spot while like live streaming or something.
Yeah.
And he's not like a paragon of comedy. He's just a fucking guy from Florida. Yeah. And this is like a fully produced, like probably several $1 million production.
Oh God, I can't imagine all the people they had writing this.
Yeah, and this is not like a knock on like writers or even these writers in particular. It's kind of like just the direction of it.
Yeah.
And also like the animators. We're going to talk a little bit about the animation later.
It's a story direction that definitely has like a potent sour tone to it.
Yeah.
And as you're watching it, you just can't help but feel like, man, they really hate their job right now.
Yeah.
Not because they're like, oh, I'm forced to like write this bad stuff about Scooby Doo. No. They're watching it and they see like animated Velma. They're like, man,
I fucking hate her.
I hate her. What's the dumbest thing I can make her say right now?
All right. I'm going to have a character smack her in the face. And then just
that happens.
But like.
Mindy Kaling has a constant joke of making her main character think they are like the ugliest, like most insufferable person and then get treated the opposite, but act that way still.
But then, well, I wanted to get into that too. All right. Should we just get into the?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna.
I'm done with my iced tea. I want to start talking about it.
I'm done with my iced tea too. I think this is appropriate. This 30-minute intro was an appropriate setup for the introduction to what we're going to talk about today, which is we're going to just summarize Velma season 1 and 2, and then we're going to get into the Halloween special just to catch up people to speed. This is like going to be full spoilers. It doesn't matter. I mean, we're just going to have fun with it.
You're not going to watch it anyway.
You're not going to watch it.
You shouldn't watch it.
The length of this episode that you're watching right now is probably the equivalent to watching like a season of this show, but we're going to be we're just going to be having fun. Crack open a few cold ones, pop open a real episode of Scooby Doo on the side, and just listen to us be
we'll put Subway surfers in the bottom of the screen. Just let us drift away and talk about Velma. Yeah, this show was a chore.
Yes, absolutely.
From start to finish, when I had to go through and watch this and take notes on it, it hurt. And yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest. On the first day when I started the binge, I got through like 6 episodes in one run. I came home with a 6-pack, and I did not have a 6-pack by the end of it. That show was bad.
Really? Where does the show start? Where does the character of Velma?
So in the very beginning, just to summarize like the setup and like the tonality of this show, it starts off with a bunch of girls in the shower. It starts in like the locker room at school, and you got Daphne and all of like the cheerleader girls all showering. You got the adult cartoon soap censorship with like, the bubbles everywhere so you can't see anything.
So just in order to like really, people who like Scooby Doo are watching a show that's like for kids effectively.
Yeah.
It's a children's show.
So
it's a very
let's
soft.
Put the high schoolers in the locker room.
It's a very it's a very like soft tone kind of like comedy, mystery, spooky. It's like Addams Family. Like it's family friendly. It doesn't get that dark, but like, it could have some interesting writing. It could be a fun mystery. It could be just a well-written like mystery, like an Agatha Christie mystery or something.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like an easy watch. You
Like
get a little
Power
bit
Rangers.
invested.
Like
And if
that
you
type
want
of
to think about it more intensely, you can.
Right.
And that's the good part about it. Like you can actually watch an episode and try to figure out the mystery, and it isn't always easy. Sometimes it's completely obvious, but
yeah.
other times you're watching it and you're just like, man, it's fun. Simple Plan joins in and you just start jamming. Like it's all good.
So what a better way to introduce a new Scooby Doo show
The most
than a locker room full of nude minors, and one of them gets absolutely eviscerated and murdered in the most
So,
gory and upsetting
I
way.
completely understand the sentiment of opening with a bang, and especially if the point of your show is to be like an adult version
Edgy.
of something that's always been for kids. Of course, like you want to open it and kind of set the stage for what you're going to do.
Right.
That's fine. There's ways to do it with a bit more elegance and to kind of have like a more genuine, like, hey, it's going to be realistic, but we're going to just go off of that and not use the preconceived notion that's for
Right.
kids. We're just going to make it earnestly from the beginning for adults.
A good example of that is, did you ever watch that live action, like fan made episode of Scooby Doo that was like the tone
the
of
crime
Riverdale?
one? Or like
It was
the
like
gritty one?
It was called like, I think it was just called like Mystery Incorporated or
Uh-huh.
something. It was made by a guy named Dade Elza. He's like an actor. He plays Fred in it. It's like
Okay.
it's just like a Riverdale tone, like CW show tone version of the Scooby Doo characters, and it's
slaps,
like
right?
clearly not for kids, and it's very well made, and that would be an incredibly compelling show for fans of the property.
Yeah.
Like for fans of the property who have like grown up a little bit or want something that's like a campy teen show.
Yeah.
Which this is supposed to be a campy
Like,
teen show.
Scooby Doo could be like a great true crime kind of show if you wanted to
Yeah.
up it into being like, okay, we made some that bit more oomph. Bit harder
It does need a bit of
mysteries.
camp. It needs a bit of silliness.
Of course,
but-
it needs a little bit. But if somebody just loves the property and they're just like, man, it would be a cool spin on it because you got to have variations as just time goes on. This show is like coming up on like what 20 years till it's like 100. No. It's 60.
It's from the
70s.
69, 68,
never mind.
69. Yeah.
So, no.
I'm leaving that in. I'm leaving that.
Okay.
But yeah,
It's an old show. It's got to have
Remixing it,
variations
yeah.
and remix it, sure. But yeah, the opener is just they're in the shower, whatever, and then somebody wearing full like concealing everything, like a hoodie and a mask, gloves, breaks into the locker room or is like in the like perving and all that shit. A fight starts and then it turns out it was just Velma.
yeah.
And they're all arguing and Velma's all mad. I honestly forget why she was in there.
I don't know. Like the show is very upfront with the fact that it's like really edgy and adult. Like everything is like sexual. Everything is perverted. Everything is like aggressive.
Yeah.
And who's the most aggressive is Velma. Is the most aggressive.
Oh,
fucking
Velma's the
character in
villain of the
show.
whole movie or the whole show. Because like 2 seconds later, the send off point of the episode is they open a locker and a body falls out. One of the cheerleader girls had her head cut open and her
And the brain is missing.
Her brain is missing, and that's when we get our opening credit and all that stuff, and it's Velma's show. But yeah, that they try to set the show earlier or set the tone with like a bang. Look, there's naked people. Look, there's gore. There's a fight. There's tons of cursing.
Swearing.
We
fucking.
Yeah, we learned that Velma hates Daphne because Daphne became like a cheerleader and left her as a friend, which is a super common trope. And, Mindy Kaling writes that in every single thing she's ever written. Ever.
Right.
But except for The Office.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anybody who's ever seen the show Never Have I Ever will recognize every single story beat that comes from this show, except for, the
violence.
The violence. Everything else about Velma's like backstory or her dramas or her relationships with friends or romantic relationships.
Her high school like nerdiness and
There's a common reoccurring thing in everything that I've ever seen with Mindy Kaling that just is, look at this girl. Nobody likes her. Everybody says she's ugly. She thinks she's ugly.
she deflects it with mean comedy.
But she's smart. And
Yeah.
that's what makes her powerful and attractive. And then halfway through the show, her friend who annoys her, plus the jock she has a crush on but has no shot with.
Both
fall in love with her. And now she has to choose between literally the only people that she's ever wanted to be with in any capacity, except for she always denies the friend, like the one that's already her friend. She's like, no, I would never be with them. Then she gets with the jock. And then she learns the jock's not always chalked up to be. And then she starts getting with the friend. And then the friend finds somebody else in this. It's very common. And you see that in full swing here. And yeah, the show just kind of goes into Velma's backstory a bunch where her mom got Ted Bundy'd a bunch. Like her mom vanished. She literally went out to get milk and like disappeared. It was as a kid.
Mom got Ted Bundy.
Her mom, when she was a little kid, started solving mysteries with Velma and would leave her mysteries around the house. And then Velma ruined, I think it was Christmas one year because she found all the presents because she's so good at like sleuthing.
Solving mysteries.
Yeah. So her mom says, okay, I'm going to go out and get her a present that she won't solve. And then she vanished. And
that's the present.
When I first saw that, I thought there's no way her mom is a bad enough person to say, what can my kid never actually like quantify and settle with? What is a mystery that they'll never get over? I'm going to go out and buy cigarettes. I'll be right back. Like I was praying the show went that way. But yeah, Velma grew up.
I will say that is a fucking like POV. You are Velma's mom. That is a more interesting story.
Yeah. And then her dad cheated on her mom, got the side girl pregnant, and lives with her. Like, it's kind of like the side girl became her stepmom, right. And she just lives at home, and her life is a mess.
Right.
Through and through, she has like the worst life you can imagine. And you know, Daphne ditched her, and that's kind of the relationships that she has around her, plus Norville. You want to talk about Norville? I
like Norville. I think Norville's like kind of okay. I like Norville in when you're putting him in the context of the rest of the characters.
Yeah, because
Shaggy is my favorite by far. My favorite character in Scooby Doo. Every time I would watch Scooby Doo as a kid, I would I would always like copy his lines. Yeah. I would always be really interested in whatever him and Scooby, like the gags he was doing. I would dress up as him for Halloween, like shit like that.
Yeah, Shaggy's great.
So like the fact that Norville.
Shaggy's real name is Norville.
Yeah, and we've always known that. We would joke.
Norville Rogers.
Yeah, we always joked about that, I think, on the old episodes of the show. So the premise here is that he doesn't like to be called Shaggy, so they just call him Norville, which is fine.
It's fine.
It seems like pointedly like contrarian, I guess.
I think Shaggy is the best attempt at like parody that this show has going for it.
Right.
Where or Norville, because he's Norville, he's not Shaggy.
Right.
And he's like a different character, but
it makes it a little bit easier to understand that they're not the same character.
Exactly, because he's just a little different. He feels more original. Like he's a parody. He doesn't feel like the regular character is kind of getting smeared. He feels like a rhymed version of him who is different in some ways, but like you can see the origin of some of Shaggy's like little quirks and all of that stuff.
I guess I don't know what it is because it's not the performance is great. Like that's one thing in the show. Most of the performances are genuinely really good.
Yeah.
Like Glenn Howerton is really good as Freddy, who we'll get to. And it's not just the performance of Norville that I think makes him endearing, but like it feels like they actually did put in a good amount of like care into some of his not all of it, but some of the character arcs he goes through.
I think the biggest thing with Norville, he's the only character of like the original gang who isn't a horrible person. Well,
they do try to make him one.
They try to ruin
times.
him. They have one good thing going, and they're like, how can we? Oh shit, we accidentally made one good thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I can give you a quick run through of each of the gang just to point where they're at. Because Daphne is the cheerleader girl who's all like, you're just jealous that my life is awesome, but secretly her life isn't that awesome at home and all that stuff. Velma's a know-it-all who is just insufferable throughout. Like
her whole thing is she also like she goes on these very like rants about things she's very passionate about.
Oh, I have a line right here written in my notes that just pretty much says every other line in this, at least in episode 1, is about the film industry or the politics of the film industry or identity.
The tropes of TV
all
shows.
the tropes of TV shows. And I'm like, I get you're trying to be contrarian and you're trying to make something that goes against it, but you fell into the harshest type of trope of just being predictable with how you're trying to be like contrarian.
Yeah, how
I know
you're trying to subvert expectations by just doing the expectations.
Yeah, it's like you're doing so much to not do what's normal
right.
that I can see exactly like where you're heading with everything. Like every single I can say every single mystery, but it's one big mystery throughout the whole show. The big mystery is they're
trying to find out who's the guy killing these cheerleaders and popular girls by taking their brains out.
Girls. Yeah, only hot girls are getting killed and their brains are getting taken out and their bodies are being left around the town.
Right.
And that's persists throughout the whole first season.
That's the one mystery.
Yes.
And it's not just the first season.
Yeah, it continues.
It basically, the second season just picks up where the first one left off and takes it in a more extreme direction with like this, I guess the science fiction or like the violence.
Yeah.
But the first season is predominantly, I mean, both seasons are predominantly a high school teen drama, but with the backbone, like the B storyline of this mystery connecting all these episodes.
Which doesn't sound too bad on paper. Just saying like, look, you got all these kids, it's dramatic and there's a big storyline. Like that's kind of the Stranger Things pitch of it, where it's like, look, you got all these like inner dramas, but and it's
that's
every
like
season we're gonna Riverdale, but then you just watch it and you're like, oh, they're not even taking their own gimmick seriously.
Right.
Every single story beat is downplayed by just a comedic punch that insults the story beat. It's not like the Marvel, like, did he just say that to like an important line? But it
kind of is the Marvel thing, but taken to an extreme that Marvel doesn't even do.
Yeah, Marvel usually just like mutes whatever they do, and you're like, okay, they made it funny. But Velma will do something, and then she'll be like, "Man, that's a stupid thing. Did you like that? You like that?
You're a fucking idiot for liking that."
They like get to like the end of like a mystery, like, oh, this guy was a killer. Could have seen that coming. I mean, who isn't a killer if they're the third character introduced wearing an orange shirt or something like that?
Right.
And you're like, okay, shut up.
There's also the running thing. Like a lot, I don't know if you remember this, but the first season was heavily marketed on like not just the fact that it was like a really cool version with this character.
Yeah.
And that like the first trailer for this revolved around Velma like commenting angry incel comments on the edgy reboot of the Jetsons to make fun of like the basement dwellers, commenting on the which I get. Like I get that those people fucking suck.
Yeah.
But the thing is like your show, like I can't even tell if Velma is supposed to be the person that fucking sucks or if Velma's the person saying the message of the show.
And I don't think they knew.
I don't think they know that either.
I think the show's not about the characters or about the story. It's about those little jokes they have sprinkled throughout and how can they connect them together in the most streamlined, straightforward way possible, which is why every episode there's a problem. Let's add an interpersonal problem. They just linger with that problem. Random events happen. And then at the end, just resolve it.
There's also
just fix it. And like in one scene, everything gets fixed without any earning of it, no development. It's just things just change constantly. Like Fred's let me talk about Fred real quick just to get onto that tangent. Fred in this show is like
he's the jock or whatever, right?
He's
like the little rich
jock
boy
guy, but of course you know that as the jock, Velma's going to find an embarrassing secret about him and learn that he's not all his life is chalked up to be. And you learn, like, it's kind of funny. Fred hasn't gone through puberty yet.
Yeah.
That's like the big joke in the show is that he's like in high school.
He's a manlet.
He's like a complete manlet still. But he still gets all the girls. He's still Mr. Jock. But for example of how like the characters switch up, Velma gives him a book. I forget what it's called, but it's a book
about feminism.
It's a book about femininity and feminism and just kind of saying like women are empowering. Sure. And he reads it and then he falls to his knees because I think one day he just has a thought about not seeing women as just like an object that he collects. And he's like, what have you done to me? And just starts like freaking out like, oh my God, what did she do to me? And then he immediately falls in love with Velma because he's like, I realize, and like he will say this out loud. He'll like go up to her and be like, I realized what's really attractive isn't your physical appearance, but it's your intellect and your power or like your capability. And then Velma, of course, gets to slam the door in his face.
But then she's madly in love with him. Like,
and then the rest of the show, she's so in love with him still. Like she says to his girlfriend, who's Daphne, no, I don't like you. I'm in love with Fred, who you're dating.
Right.
Even though the episode prior, Fred is like breaking up with Daphne and wants to get with Velma, and she slams the door in his face. Like it doesn't track well, and it's just from reading that book. All of a sudden, he's like a complete new person.
I will say
get the joke of
there's
it,
a
but-
lot of good. Fred, and this is weird because it's a show that's about the female Scooby Doo characters. That's like they're the primary characters.
Yeah.
The by far the best characters to watch on screen at all times are Fred and Norville because
they're funny as hell.
Fred is so all the good jokes are given to Fred.
Yeah.
Every good joke that the show has is delivered by Freddie. Every single one. I don't know why. Like Norville is a likable enough character because his character is written like kind of like a nice guy. But then he's kind of a nice guy in some jokes. Like they make jokes about how he objectifies women too and whatever.
But once they make that switch, so halfway through season 1, my buddy came over to watch it with me because I just couldn't bear it anymore. I needed a friend in my time of need.
Yeah.
And he started watching and he was miserable. Like he still jokes like right now. He'll be like, well, at least this isn't as bad as season 1 of Scooby Doo episodes 1 through 6. Because that's like how long he was kind of in it for. But there was 2 moments that he remembered laughing at the show. And I'm pretty sure only one. Oh yeah, one was about Velma's terrible character writing, and the other one was just about a joke that Fred made.
Yeah.
And it was just some girl is getting beaten. No. Some girl is getting like attacked by like a monster or something. Like there's violence happening, and somebody's calling out to Fred for help. And Fred's line is, "Sorry, I can't help you. I'm too busy thinking about the gender pay gap."
Yeah.
And that was like one of the only minutes where I picked my head up and was like, just like dying. Because I'm like, that is an actual funny joke about the whole thing.
Because the gag is that he's being very performatively feminist while not actually being, which is a funny gag.
Exactly.
That's a funny gag.
Like he goes so far in the opposite direction. You see the joke of both sides of it being like, oh, he's a complete jock who doesn't give a crap about women, to, oh my God, he can only think about it now and it's completely insufferable.
Right.
And it's a nightmare. He still has like some classic Fred moments. Like there's a part where somebody throws like a big paper cutter at Velma and he just like blocks it. Like he saves the day. And I'm like, that's my Fred.
Which is also
that's Fred right there.
I will say it is weird because what is the one? If I were to say like think of Fred Jones in Scooby Doo, what is like the first character trait that comes to mind?
Strong.
And what's the second one?
Leader.
And what's the third one?
Dependable.
Yes. See these 3 things. He's a nice, friendly guy who's strong and has leader-like abilities.
It's like there's I saw a chart once where it says. There's 2 axes. One is on the top where it says knows what sex is, doesn't know what sex is.
Yes.
And the other axis is has sex and doesn't have sex. He
Fred
falls in the line of he doesn't know what it is, but he has it.
Yeah. Exactly. But that's the thing. Fred has always, even in the shows where they've depicted him as being kind of a himbo, kind of a dumb guy, he's always been characterized by his desire to help and be friendly and his ability to be a strong like leader.
And people say that like Fred is like he makes traps. He's a leader. He's dependable. Everybody always looks up to him. He's the one that always says like, let's split up. Like he has a plan.
Even in the ones where he's depicted as dumb.
Exactly.
Even in like Mr. Incorporated and Cool Scooby Doo or whatever. That is like a through line.
And it's enjoyable because like he's got his he's got his weaknesses. Like he's not the smartest of the group and all that stuff. But at the same time, in this show, he doesn't have
any of those
good trait at all.
He doesn't have a single.
He is
one of those qualities which makes him entirely unrecognizable outside of the fact that he's one of the only characters that just looks identical to the original.
Exactly. And in the show, he's like a crying, incapable. Like he can't do anything. He lives in like a mansion, and he needs people to like feed him. He needs people to cut his food for him. He needs somebody to drive him around, and he cries if anything bad happens to him. And
he's the one that drives the mystery machine in the original cartoon.
Exactly.
He's on the box. He's on the fucking box.
Yeah, it's just.
But yes, and other than that, everyone else is just kind of like a caricature. They I don't know, like they.
So the episode 1 kind of wraps all these characters together by suggesting that Velma starts thinking that Fred could be the killer because he's so incapable and he's such like a back and forth person, and he gets arrested.
Yes.
For murder.
Well,
Right off the
okay,
bat.
yes, he does. I will say one of the most consistently funny parts of the entire
The
show.
leg getting cut off. You remember that?
Yeah.
Let me put you on pause real quick. So, yeah, in episode 1, somebody's leg gets cut off,
Yeah.
and it keeps getting removed every episode after. It just keeps getting amputated. Like they'll stitch it back on, and then another episode, like somebody will knock him down the stairs, and his leg falls off again.
Yeah.
It's like probably the only joke in it where I'm like, that would be good in any show. That's a great gimmick.
Which is
Keep that
what,
going.
yeah, it's what we were saying about like the writers of the show. Like there are moments where you know that there's talented people working on this.
Yeah.
There's funny jokes sometimes, but when they're not just similes. But the second episode that has the trial of Fred Jones is the most consistently funny run of minutes in the entire show.
Yeah, so that's kind of like where episode 1 leaves it. Is Fred is getting framed for the murders, and Daphne is with Fred, so she's all kind of back and forth. Velma's cracking down on Fred, saying he's guilty as hell. But I think either the beginning of season of episode 2 or the ending of episode 1, she realizes, oh my God, no, I'm wrong.
It's not Fred.
Yeah, she kind of like deduces like, wait, no, he's incapable.
Yeah.
It couldn't be him. He doesn't
He's
know
so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
He could never have done it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and his whole backstory is just like his family is part of the Jones family fashion or something like
Yes,
that. They sell ascots.
Like a menswear brand.
Yeah. So they're super rich, and Fred's just kind of an embarrassment to them all. And
It is truly excruciating, though. Every time Fred's dad is on screen and he's voiced by Frank Welker, and hearing like Freddy's actual voice actor deliver these just like dog shit lines of dialogue makes me so sad.
yeah.
Because I'm just sitting there and I'm like, oh, Scooby is saying these stupid shit. Stupid shit.
I mean, there's a joke in there where Velma says the only people that watch cartoons as adults are just like stoners in their basements.
They're just like, yeah, like in their mom's basements.
Yeah.
That's
I'm like, that's
like
me.
the
I'm in my parents' basement right now.
Oh my god! But like, it's just like a running gag that like, yeah, who the fuck watches cartoons if they're adults while making a
Who is the
cartoon
show
for adults?
Who is the show even for?
Who is it for?
The only people that would be watching it, that you think might be watching it, like the only ones, because you say only people who are like like in their basements are going to be watching cartoons. That's who's keeping the lights on for you. Why are you shit talking? There's a good way to make fun of your audience, and there's a way that's just kind of like, man, you're not even delivering a good show, and now you're going to insult me for watching it. Like, I'm doing you a courtesy. I didn't have to watch this shit.
I mean, that's the thing is, like we were saying before, there's plenty of good movies and shows that are antagonistic directly of their audience.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I love The Last Jedi and shit like that. We used to record this podcast in front of a 7-foot tall poster of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But that movie kind of does do the thing of like, hey, listen, like the fan theory culture kind of sucks. Like the Jedi were flawed. Like it does all these things that are, not super antagonist. It's not, I mean, it was really thoughtful and thought provoking of like the mythos of Star Wars, while not catering to like the worst of the culture of the fan base.
Yeah.
Same things with other movies that may or may not have been recently released and controversial and widely hated. But like, there's an interesting way
you
to
get what you fucking deserve.
There's an interesting way to do that. There's an interesting way to be antagonistic of your audience while making a compelling thing.
Yeah.
You could make a show about Velma that does have commentary on how toxic people are.
Totally.
As long as the rest of the show was a good enough show to like where that message stuck in any way.
At the end of the day, you're making a product when you're making a show or a movie, and you have a duty to entertain your audience.
And
At the
tell
end
a
of the
story.
day, that's what it is. Tell a story. Make sure it's half decent. A movie that has like a great message but sucks as a movie still just isn't a great movie most times.
Right.
And in this case, like you have something that's just like a cheap little jab at Scooby Doo with some messaging throughout, but at the end of the day, the story itself is lacking, and every single episode is just nonstop quips about just insulting the people that do watch this stuff. And it's like, man, if you don't want to be here and you don't want to like actually write, like you're given the chance to write something as crazy as like Scooby Doo, and you're just kind of like you're just whiffing it.
Yeah.
Like why try?
Yeah.
Why try? Why even be here?
Right.
I mean, so episode 2 has a good run of some decent jokes. Like it kind of goes into a realm where
It's not 100% solid, but
they get some motion going. Like Velma needs to get the case files on her mom, and she tells Daphne that she'll pay her $500 to get her mom's case files. We get introduced to Norville's dad.
who's just Shaggy.
It is Shaggy. It just looks like Shaggy. He talks like Shaggy. He's like a local.
goatee.
He's a local therapist and all of that. And I think
He's a stoner too. They have
he's a
joke about
complete
that.
stoner. Norville doesn't like drugs. The big thing in the show is he will always say that he doesn't do any drugs and wink at the camera. But
It's a good bit. It's a good bit.
It's a good bit. But the thing is, he also doesn't do drugs.
Yeah.
Like in the show, he doesn't do drugs at
doesn't
all.
do
I'm like, why are you winking at me? I get it.
Season 2 does a genuinely compelling thing with Norville.
Yeah.
That has to do with the fact that he doesn't do drugs, that he eats to cope with his like anxiety and panic.
That's a good way to have an adult version of a cartoonish character trait and be like, look at this. The thing you know is there, but we gave it a reason and
Right.
it's fine. It's not intrusive.
However, the way the show handles that is to like have Velma pointedly shit on him and have the rest of the show criticize and like just completely shit all over Norville's character arc. And it's resolved as in like, yeah, you're right. I was wrong for having these negative feelings,
Yeah.
which it feels directly, and we're going to say this word a lot, it's antagonizing the people who would maybe have similar problems and shit like that.
Yeah.
But that leads me to like maybe a thesis that as we go through the rest of these episodes, we can come back to every now and then.
Okay. What's that?
Is this show secretly like really conservative? Because
There is some of that because, like I said, with the Fred thing, Fred becomes like an overbearing
feminist or whatever.
like an overbearing like a joke,
But
to like an actual thing.
even that is like what thought out enough in the fact that like, yes, Fred is being a feminist, but it is a fake feminist. Like it's criticizing guys who say feminist shit to get pussy or whatever.
Yeah.
However, Velma, the main character of the show, goes on many, many, many rants about political things that are sound, that are like left-leaning and progressive, but like, you know, accurate maybe.
Yeah.
But the show makes her out to be a fucking freak for saying those things
This show does a great job at taking something normal
and delegitimizing
and putting it to such an extreme, like, oh, they have to be making fun of it, which is weird because everybody knows the buzz around Velma just kind of being a show that
woke
embraces
and whatever.
wokeism and it's just going to make fun of like people watching it and it's all about breaking down tropes. But then you watch it and every attempt at doing that is so laughably, unbelievably exaggerated that you're like, they've got to be trying to make it look bad.
Then there's also like multiple jabs of like Me Too people. And there's multiple references to like comedians aren't funny anymore. And there's multiple times where Velma's like, yeah, but you know, like women are less represented and blah, blah, blah. And other characters going, shut up, you fucking idiot. And then she goes, yeah, you're right. I should shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wait.
I have no idea where this show stands on any of that. And you know, it doesn't have to matter, but you're putting so much of it in. I don't know what to keep track of. I don't know like what I'm supposed to think. And it's kind of like how the character writing is so flip-flop. People will like somebody, then they won't, and then they'll hate somebody, and then the next thing that person dies. And it's just
so
I don't know what to track. None of this like is cogent, and it's just kind of a mess.
The thing that I always go back to is that there's two scenes kind of early on, and these things kind of get worse and worse into season 2. Is that Velma will like in episode 1, she's like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna actually say something biting and like true, unlike comedians post Me Too era or whatever.
Yeah,
and that's like a joke Steven Crowder would make. That's not like a joke that like a woke TV show that's killing that's killing all the white men would make. Like it's a joke that like Ben Shapiro would make, which is weird. And it's also, I think, a joke Mindy Kaling has made outside of this show about like the Me Too era. And then like, again, like she rants to the cops who are like lesbians or whatever Like the Daphne's moms.
Daphne's mom's step parents because she doesn't know who her biological family is.
Right. And Velma like does rants to them about like feminism and things that are like again, progressive politics that you would expect in something quote unquote woke.
Yeah.
But then the show goes out of its way to make sure that you as the audience know that Velma is being irrational for saying these things. And I know like there's a way to do that that's like there's a time and a place. But the way the show does it is not that. The way the show does it is Velma is wrong for saying that.
Yeah.
And I think as we go through the rest of these episodes, like into episode 2 and 3, if we tie it back to that thesis that the show is secretly conservative, we're going to find a lot of fun. We're going to find a lot of fun things.
Yeah. So the court scene happens where Freddy's on trial and Velma's evidence that gets him off the hook.
That he's incompetent.
They bring him a steak and he can't cut it and he starts breaking down.
Yeah.
Kind of
It's
funny.
a good bit. It's
kind
a
of
good bit.
funny. That's fine. That's fine. So they say, okay, the killer's out there. And then like more bodies are popping up around the town. So this is the point that I realized something because now we're going into episode 3. Velma throughout the whole show has hallucinations. That's like her big thing. Her
She has
source of-
panic attacks.
She has panic attacks from being a kid, and every time she solves a mystery or she tries solving a mystery, she freaks out because last time she tried to, it made her mom go missing.
Mhm.
That's fine. I can understand that in like a cartoon. Like that could be a good thing. Then I realized something. This is Scooby Doo. Where are my monsters? Where's my like
Yeah.
individual mysteries? Because during her hallucinations, she sees her mom as like a witch who
Mhm.
like shows up, goes like, "You're solving a mystery," and starts like grabbing at her, and it's all like freaky,
Dragging her to hell or
Like
whatever.
it's cool, and it looks good. And I was
Right.
like, man, you guys have some talent on the team.
Oh yeah, the animation in those panic
Why am
attack
I watching a
sequences.
still frame of Fred in a court cutting a steak? I want to see. I want to see something.
I want to see
kicking
that.
doors.
I wanna see that.
Because one of the best things, especially when you go back to like Mystery Incorporated, one of the best things is they had time for both. They have the big overarching mystery that's very similar, where it's like, what was our parents' secrets?
Yes.
What is the big mystery of the town? And then every episode you can suddenly get smacked with like the ghost truck, like the semi truck and all that
No,
shit. Where
the-
you're just like, this is a banger, and you just
I know we didn't cover all of Mystery Incorporated on this show, so you haven't watched all of it. The premise of Mystery Incorporated,
I still have not watched the rest of it since our last episode,
Yeah.
and I wish I did.
the premise of Mystery Incorporated, which is also beautifully animated.
Oh,
like
it's amazing.
regular scenes of characters walking like down the street would have like beautiful lighting
Their
and color and
style,
art
the
direction.
texturing on everything
Yeah.
is meant it just looks good.
Meanwhile,
constantly.
any normal scene in Velma
Looks
looks
like
like
Big
Family
Mouth.
Guy. Yeah, it looks
There
like
you
Big
go.
Mouth.
There you go.
And then every now and then they'll have dynamic lighting and it'll look really
Yeah.
pretty.
And like people will complain about like a concrete art style, one that's like overused. Like people look at like the Disney or the Cartoon Network art style, like
The
how,
thick outlines.
like,
and the-
with Gumball or
oh yeah. Cal Arts art style. or
exactly,
whatever.
where like their head just kind of like bumps out. Like Steven Universe looks the same as Gumball, looks the same as people in Gravity Falls. But then you look at those individual ones and you realize
The rest of the art direction
Look
is
at the background. Look at the background of anything in Gravity Falls. It's
Yes.
crazy good.
Also,
and then you look at like
yeah.
those old shows, like it's amazing. And that's like a still image. I get it's hard to do, but that part doesn't have to be animated. You just got to draw it and make it look sick. And then this show, it's just like courtroom, beige walls.
Yeah.
Freddy will talk, but only his mouth will move, and we got a steak.
And there's also like, I don't know, like if I were to take the only reason this show has character designs that are interesting
Yes.
is because they're based on character designs that are timeless.
Yeah.
But like, look at all the new characters the show introduces and how hard it is to track which ones they are. When you look at like, let's bring back Gravity Falls, which gets criticized for having the like round mouth and the
Yeah,
Cal
but you
arts.
can name every character and you know the characters.
If I were to put just like stripes of color of like Maple and Dipper next to each other, you'd know like, oh, those are the guys from Gravity Falls,
Yeah.
right? Like you'd be able to be like, I know that those are the
look at the Scooby cast. Look at the original.
yes, you can-
Orange. Who is that?
I mean, silhouette. The silhouette of this
Oh,
Scooby cast
silhouette.
is
Yeah.
instantly recognizable. So much so that the intro to one of the most popular Scooby shows, What's New Scooby Doo, is entirely the silhouettes of the character.
and coloring.
yeah,
You got the Mystery Machine colors in the background, and then it cuts to like, I mean,
the
even
silhouettes of the
Mystery
characters
Inc-
running.
Mystery Incorporated's intro even showed how individual they are. Like you get Freddy's, you see the flashlights and the
They have
traps,
their
it's
own
all
like smash.
blue.
Yeah,
Yeah, Velma's is all orange with magnifying glasses, and you're like, I know what each character does.
Yeah.
In this show, it's just Velma solves mystery. Every other character is like a
Sarcastic
it's like
and mean.
a vending machine for like jokes.
Yeah.
And half of them hit, most of them miss. It's a shame because like one of the reasons why Scooby Doo has lasted this long is it's got like a great cast, a great like setup, and
a formula that works,
and a great formula. And the thing is, Mystery Incorporated, where they took it a little bit more seriously and got more outside the box and actually amped up some of like the danger in some of them. You're like, oh, this slaps.
It's a lot of people's favorite version of Scooby Doo.
Yeah, and you look at this one, which is pretty universally like most people say like the worst one.
Right.
I think it's a safe opinion to have.
Right.
And you get why. You look at it and you're like, man, they're not having fun with this while they're writing it.
Right.
They're trying so hard just to find quips that they're forgetting like you are allowed to just put in a mummy that just kicks in the door and in this version kills somebody.
Yeah.
And you chose not to. You chose to have a serial killer, which is cool. But now we're going into episode 3. And we have we know the killer's not Freddy. Of course it's not fucking Freddy.
And that's not to say that like a serial killer story is boring.
No, not at all.
I love
every Scooby-Doo one's a serial killer.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's like everything. I have ADHD.
Boo.
Yeah. Everything in this show feels like an ADHD fucking.
Jiggle, jiggle.
Oh, wait, give it to me.
Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle.
Whoa. So, okay, I want to talk about keys. Okay. No, but everything in this show feels like an afterthought.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. Like, it doesn't feel like the show is pushing something to the side to focus on something else, because when it does that, the other thing also gets pushed to the side to go back to the other thing.
Yeah.
Everything is like simultaneously an afterthought of the previous thing.
This show is all side plot.
Yeah.
And the main plot is so spread out and just kind of in the background
that it feels like a side plot.
I feel like I'm sitting here watching stuff happening around me, but the show never actually like shows me what's going on. And when it does, it's like that's the episode per episode basis. Like episode 3 is about they start a fight club for women in the gym where they're all going to learn self-defense. And it's the whole story now.
Yeah,
like,
he said it.
You know the exact whole thing that's going to happen in that episode. This is the episode that they start throwing in a little bit of Daphne and Velma start developing feelings for each other, and they kind of start getting together.
Yeah.
But that just turns into another Mindy Kaling side plot where it's like they both just want to wrestle each other in the gym.
Yeah.
At first they're mad at each other, then they start liking each other, then they have a tournament.
Yeah.
And of course, every time Daphne's fighting, Velma wants to get in the ring, and same vice versa. And you know how that goes. So, I mean, we learned that Norville's mom's in an asylum.
Yeah.
And his dad is just a therapist, which we already knew.
I do think Norville, I don't know if it's this episode or if it's maybe in the second half of the season. But like Norville and his dad kind of have a rough relationship too.
They're not connected as father son.
Yeah.
And his dad, I think it was either in the last episode or this one. Norville's dad has a magical cardigan.
Yeah.
That gives you therapy powers, which that's a joke that's been done. It's not a bad one. I mean, I think we were talking about Cleveland show earlier. Yeah. There's a joke where Cleveland becomes a therapist and he has to wear more tweed in order to be able to address people. And then, like the whole room gets covered in it until he finally gets a breakthrough. His dad has a cardigan that Norville uses to interview some people in prison and get some answers. And it's cool. They have like a couple touching moments. Those are like the beats that are genuine and part of why I actually like Norville and parts of this show, because I'm like, look, Norville has a crush on Velma. She laughs every time he tries to make any kind of a move. And again, makes herself more unlikable. Right. Like there will be a point where like she's having a panic attack and he's like, how can I snap you out of it? And she's like, make me laugh.
And he goes, I'm in love with you and blah, blah, blah.
And then she dies laughing. And she's like, you're so good at that. You're so good at making me laugh. And then he goes home and like is just sad. And his dad's like, you want to try weed?
Yeah, but the thing is like Norville will have a sensitive moment like that makes you realize like, oh, this character's a little bit more likable and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then he'll also like, I don't know, in the very next episode when they deduce that ugly girls are the answer. Or like hot girls are the ones being targeted. Norville goes in a whole thing about like how he ranks girls based on how attractive they are, and he's like, well, definitely Daphne is like the hotter one, like, and then Velma, like, she's attractive because of her personality and blah blah blah, but like, and then you're like, oh, you made Norville deliver that when you have a character whose whole personality is.
Well, now he's a raging feminist, so he
isn't that the episode where he becomes one?
Maybe
something like
it happens
that.
somewhere in there, and. I mean, during this episode, they learned the killer is targeting hot girls. So they send all the popular girls to hang out with Velma because she's so ugly and insufferable.
That'll rub off on them.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, okay.
And also the thing of like,
it's a self-insert. Like, it's supposed to be Mindy. Like, that's who Velma's. It's
kind of, I guess.
The shows are kind of like that, and I'm like, every single show, it's always this protagonist, and she just shits on herself. Like, I'm so ugly, but I'm smart,
and everybody loves me, and every male character in the show is in love with me.
There's a joke,
and the female characters too.
Velma twerks in front of a mirror, and the mirror breaks.
Weirdly enough, not the only twerking related joke in a show made in 2023.
There's a lot of twerking jokes.
Strange.
Huh.
Yeah, think of it. A 10-year-old dance craze is still being like referenced in like a cartoon for adults in 2023.
But anyways, all the popular girls ignore her. They just want to stay popular. So Velma says, okay, screw it. I'm going to try dressing hot. And she shows up in like an elf cosplay to school. It's just so, Velma's dad's side hoe starts having a baby in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And
I didn't even remember that.
Yeah. She starts having a baby and nobody's like helping her. And I'm pretty sure I really wrote a note here that says, what is this plot? I'm pretty sure everybody was so distracted. Nobody was noticing she was having a baby. So all the popular girls start like strip dancing around the woman giving birth so the crowd will notice her. Something like that. And I remembered I was watching Scooby Doo.
I remember you're watching this and you're like,
past this point,
talking dog.
My notes get much less detailed for like the next couple
How
episodes.
many beers in were you on episode 4?
Oh, on 4 is when I started.
Oh.
Yeah, no, the first 3 I raw dogged it. I was in it and I was taking notes.
Yeah.
Then I got to this point, I was like, oh, hey Charles, you want to come over?
Yeah.
And then I started just getting less and less interested because I realized the story wasn't progressing just to have more episodes. Like they could solve the mystery in 1 or 2 episodes.
Realistically, a comedy show doesn't have to have a really detailed plot.
It doesn't.
It could just be like, this is the episode where they do the Fight Club and there's all jokes in it.
I mean, the biggest comedy show that gives you like blue balls would be like How I Met Your Mother. With just like every episode. But it's funny. It's not about that big thing. You're like, okay, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah.
But this show, it's like there's a serial killer. And you guys are bringing that up every episode, but you're moving so slowly for all these subplots that are just cliche or kind of just boring or just excuses to have like a soapbox. And
But the soapbox ends up being
boring. Oh, the soapbox isn't a soapbox.
Secretly conservative.
It's so conservative.
Women's
Fight Club. How ridiculous is that? And I'm just like, wait a second.
What's amazing too is that I think this came out the same year as the other Women's Fight Club movie. With
Fight
what's
Club 2.
No. What was it called? It was about it came out last year. Had Io Debris in it. It had Rachel Sennott, the white Fatima girl from the memes. She's a white girl named Fatima. But like that, whatever that movie was called, which is escaping me because in the exact moment I need to remember it, I can't remember the title.
Of course.
That movie is about a fucking female fight club in high school. And that movie's great.
Oh, wait. I remember the trailers for that now.
Yeah. It's something with a B. What was the fucking name of that movie? If there's only some way,
Jamie?
is there any way that we could, like, there was technology we had in our pocket where we could search it up?
What's it?
Well, we don't.
What do I look up? What do I look up?
Oh God, fucking computer!
What do I look up? Quickly.
Io Debris. AYO. Fuck. ED. There, her. What is her top movie on there?
The bear?
No, Bottoms.
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 Dude, I love that movie. I haven't seen it. I love that movie.
I love that movie. That movie's
a good
great.
movie.
It's about a women fight club.
Yeah. They
And
probably-
lesbians.
So they were inspired by Velma.
No. That show is that movie is way better than Velma, and it's hilarious. And episode 3 of Velma is the same fucking idea. The same
Yeah. So, oh wow. Okay. So I get to a point where I'm like, oh yeah, Velma starts assaulting a crowd. She starts just fighting people. Fred finds it hot, so he follows her home and he confesses his love for her.
Mhm.
And that's when she slams the door in his face.
Right.
And that's when my buddy Charles, who was over at that point, delivered this banger quote. He said, "She's such a fucking pancake the way she keeps flipping and fucking flopping."
How drunk was he at this point? He's in a
None.
constant state of drunk.
This was Charles just came over and sat down and watched one episode.
One episode he gave
One
it-
episode he delivered such a banger. That was episode 4. So he's missing 3 episodes of context.
And in that one episode,
in that one episode, he was like, "Man, her character's all over the place. This writing is kind of choppy." And I was like, "Wow,
yeah. It's almost like she says an idea and then it's immediately like undercut.
oh yeah." And I mean,
Episode 5.
Episode-
We're halfway through season
so
1.
here's I think the most conservative beat.
Oh, really?
So in episode 5, there's a band sleepover. I actually don't remember most of the details of this episode, but I have it written. There's a band sleepover, and there's a beat that happens where being intolerant is talked about
Really?
as being serious. It's like a big deal.
Okay.
And I have a note here that kind of talks about how in this show, being intolerant is treated worse than like a
School shooting.
school shooting.
Yeah.
And I'm
wait.
like, "Ooh."
So the show's going out of its way to be like, isn't it crazy how woke the schools are?
It's so stupid.
Look at how
woke they are.
I can't believe they would treat this with such seriousness.
Fred has a great line where he says, "Shush, a feminist is speaking."
Fred has all the best lines.
I wrote down I
Fred-
should use this
You should.
right next to it. I feel like that'd go over well.
Anytime someone interrupts me,
Yeah.
I'm going to whip that out.
Yeah. And, Norville has a new girlfriend now. What was her name? Gigi?
Gigi? Gigi?
Yeah.
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 She's like in and out of the show.
So when I hadn't seen this show and I saw pictures of her, I thought she was going to be Scooby.
Yeah, there was a meme going around with showing Norville and Gigi.
I thought her middle name would be like Scoob or something that.
Yeah,
or-
that's what everyone was saying.
Yeah, I thought they were going to take that route, and I was like, ooh.
When you watch the show, they don't do that at all.
I wish they did. Seeing where Scooby goes,
Well,
I wish
okay.
they went that route.
I'm glad they didn't. But,
I'm glad they did. Oh, neither are a good
no,
choice. But seeing where it went, I was like, at least I could have been mad at that.
there was
instead
like
of just disappointed.
yeah, there was a bad faith meme about it saying, "Oh, the Velma show's gotten so bad that
Yeah.
they made Scooby a girl that's dating Shaggy," and people believed it because. You know what? With the writing of this show, that's not that far from like the type of shit they do.
So believable.
It is believable that they would do that. I'm glad they didn't, but
There's a good joke that comes like Velma and Daphne, or is it Daphne? Yeah. Oh no, there's a house party with Gigi, and Velma goes over and they get into a fight and they have a flute off. They're both flute players. And they both suck at flute. So when
That's
the
amazing.
fight starts, it's just like screeching, and everyone's like, "Stop!
stop.
This is dumb. I thought you
Yeah.
guys could play flute." And they're just like, "No, I'm going to win this battle." And they start like shrieking into it more. I was like, okay, that's funny. But we start learning. Daphne confronts her mom about her adoption and starts learning about like there's a mystery behind the house and that a mad scientist who is Norville's grandma
Mhm.
used to actually be in the house.
Yeah.
And she's gone. And there's like all kinds of evil that was happening beneath the house. And that's more of like the original story coming back. I'm like, okay, please let us just pick it up
Yeah.
and stop with all these flute battles
think-
and fight clubs and all that stuff. I just kind of want to keep going.
A lot of what's introduced in this episode is like this background plot about their biological parents, about
Yes.
like their ancestors and the people who lived in their town, which is it even mentioned that it's Coolsville?
They mentioned that everything's Crystal Cove.
Is it? Is
'Cause-
Crystal Cove in this?
Yes, because I remember they talk about the history of the town. They say it used to be like a digging town.
Well, that's the thing is that Crystal Cove.
It's called like Crystal. Yeah.
Yeah, Crystal Cove in Mystery Incorporated is the only time Crystal Cove was ever used.
Yes.
Was explicitly an old like there was like coal and crystal like reservoirs and shit like that there that they would dig for, and that was the resources. That's how the town had funding and companies, and that's what all the parents of the characters were involved in.
Yeah.
And they were involved in this conspiracy that was related to the old caves in Crystal Cove and shit like that.
That's so good.
However,
the legacy route is so good, and this show does
just
that
takes
again.
that. It does it
takes
again.
that, and they're like, "What if we just made it kind of terrible?"
Yeah.
So the Halloween special gets pretty into that. We'll get to that pretty soon, but yeah, man. This episode starts hinting at like, Shaggy's grandma was a mad scientist, and who's the killer, but we still don't know who the killer is at all. And this is the first episode that has like any kind of semblance of like horror, because at the house party, all the people are just like really hungry and they're all really high, so they turn into zombies, and
That's
they feed them pizza and it's over.
Yeah.
So that's the closest I think we got to monster shit in season 1.
That and like the panic attack sequence.
Yeah, but I guess like in terms of like real monster, but we kind of just keep chugging forward where they talk to the principal about the mad scientist thing, and they learn about Scooby finally.
Scooby with an eye.
Yeah, Scooby stands for like Special Covert Operation Brain Initiative or something. And
which is like revealing maybe why these brains are being stolen from the murder victims.
I'm going to show you my notes for the rest of the episodes. Oh, wait, this is just Halloween.
Yeah.
That's I stopped taking notes.
I was like, oh, he's going to show me the notes for the rest of the episode.
So we got to Scooby, and I realized I was just
done
writing.
Yeah.
And it was just random take after random take, and it just, yeah. So Scooby is pretty much, they learned that there is a secret
sci-fi
project
magic thing
to try and remove people's brains from their body and keep the brain active
and put it in another body.
Yes.
Which is, I don't know if it's revealed in season 1, but that is a huge part of season 2.
Yeah. So, well, it is in season 1 because I'm just going to fast forward a bunch to like kind of like what
we can start skimming ahead.
So season 1 kind of ends. Who's the killer?
Yeah.
The killer is Fred's mom. Whoa.
What?
Because, surprise, Fred's an embarrassment to the Jones legacy. And they say, we need the Scooby program because we need to put somebody else's brain in Fred's body so we can have a proper heir who isn't a complete moron.
Yep.
And it goes just how you about expect. Everybody shows up. There's fighting. Her mom has like an axe and she's freaking out. And they're in these underground tunnels where all the experiments were done.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the way so here's how they beat her, which you wouldn't think it'd be a problem because she's just like a middle-aged woman versus like
five
four
able-bodied high schoolers.
Yeah, high schoolers, and she has like a bone saw in her hand, but
which famously fast thing, something that cuts through your body extremely
she has
quickly.
another thing in her hand, which is a gun.
Oh, that's true.
That is true. So, well, here's the thing though: she may have a gun, but you know what Norville has? A katana.
Oh, he brought a knife to a gunfight.
Yeah, that always goes well.
That's the expression. That's how it goes.
So pretty much what happens is Norville's like rappelling down from like the top of the cave, and she shoots it. Like she goes like, "Oh, child," and just pulls the trigger and tries to kill him.
Yeah.
Norville just takes out his sword and smacks the bullet back. He doesn't cut it in half.
He ricochets it.
He hits it, which first off, holy shit. Because it's not like he had it out and he blocked it. He drew his sword out, lined it up, and smacked it back.
Yeah.
It's a bullet. Okay, either way,
Cartoon.
the bullet ricochets and it hits a stalactite on the ceiling. And it kind of crumbles and it falls and it lands on Freddy's mom, just squishes her immediately.
Epic, by the way.
Epic. And it's just blood gets everywhere.
Right.
Fred's kind of all like freaked out about it, whatever. Velma goes over. She starts ranting about how amazing that is. She's so happy because she solved a mystery. Let's go.
A woman was murdered and all of her victims are still there's no resolution for them.
Oh, well, she starts twerking.
Well, yeah,
covered in blood, she twerks over Freddy's mom's corpse in front of him.
Which
and then
is an appropriate reaction.
And then it's over.
Yeah.
And end of season 1. Well, there's an end credit scene. So she goes to the sheriff guy. Also, I think in all of that, she found her mom.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
She found her mom, I think like an episode or 2 before that. She was like just in a cave and hypnotized and all of that.
Wasn't she working as a scientist or something?
Yeah,
like that?
she had the brain control stuff happen to her, and
that's it.
There's no consequence to it. It's just that's
the main mystery for Velma's character is just kind of resolved in. Oh yeah, there she is.
Yeah, we found her.
Yeah.
She's brain controlled. She's doing the experiments. But what happens is Velma goes to the sheriff guy, says, "Hey, how'd that go?" And the sheriff's like, "Yo, you got to help us out someday." Haha.
Mm-hmm.
And they take Velma's mom's case file back from Velma and they go to archive it into there's a bunch of unsolved case files. There's one that says solved, covered in like cobwebs and shit. And they open it and it's the only thing that they add in. And the guy just kind of goes like, there's no such thing as ghosts. And then the lights shut off and the sheriff kind of turns around. We just see blood splatter on the window and he gets killed. And that's the end of season 1.
I'm not going to lie. Until today, when we were up getting ready for this, I didn't realize that Velma had post-credit scenes.
Do they reveal stuff in those scenes?
Like when I watched season 2, which admittedly I did while doing other shit. Like I at my job when Velma season 2 came out, I was able to just kind of put my laptop on the desk, play something, and just do my work.
Yeah.
So when I was watching Velma season 2, I was kind of just listening to it most of the time, and the autoplay thing on HBO Max would just skip to the next episode when the credits started. So I didn't realize there was even a setup for the holiday special. But today, when we were upstairs, we watched the end of like the last episode of season 2, and there was a very distinct setup saying, "Oh man, I can really solve this, but only on Halloween night specifically." And then it cuts to like credits, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I never even."
Should we just like speed through season 2 a bunch?
Yeah, my surface level kind of like Velma season 1, kind of not that much happens, but enough that we could describe it in the last hour.
Yeah.
Like 7 hours of television, and it could be described in like enough detail for you to kind of get where the characters are and what's going on in 1 hour.
Yeah.
But season 2, like nothing happens. Like nothing happens.
Season 2,
except
nothing happens till the very end. But throughout the whole season, it's just a lot of character stuff and
it's more
throwaway side plots.
More stuff, more high school romance drama stuff
than anything else.
Than even the first season. Like then there is anything. Yeah. Like, I mean, a lot of it, because we now know the villain of this is this Scooby project, this initiative. They don't know who's running it. That's the mystery of season 2. They're trying to, now that they've resolved the murder serial killer thing, season 2 is more about like the aftermath of that.
And especially since it starts with the sheriff being dead. They're like, oh, it's not done. There's somebody still out here doing stuff.
Someone out there who is colloquially referred to as Uncle Scooby, which if you know anything about, he's called Uncle Scooby because it's a soldier who is like a spy, like the man from U.N.C.L.E., and he is part of the Scooby Project. And if you know anything about Scooby Doo, Uncle Scooby is something said by only one character.
Guy. One guy who would ever refer to Scooby as his uncle.
But yeah, so season 2 is kind of that.
We'll let that hang there. Maybe you guys can solve that mystery.
If you're watching this, you might know exactly what we're talking about. But yeah,
bear with us. Bear with us.
Uncle Scooby is going around, and they're just like a super soldier out there, pretty much just fucking killing people. But it's not, again, it doesn't move forward whatsoever until the last couple episodes.
Yeah.
Most of it is spent on like Velma and Daphne having relationship problems and breaking up and then getting back together and fucking.
They have a whole relationship based on communication. being
and they
bad.
don't. Yeah,
That's their only talking about. You're bad at communicating. Okay, I'll communicate better. Something happens.
bad
they
at
don't
communicating.
communicate. They have they break up. Next episode. Hey, we're gonna communicate. Okay, they're back together. And same thing happens.
And it's a lot of
every
stuff.
episode.
That's like a lot of jokes about how horny they are for each other.
Oh my god!
But they're delivered in like such a dry manner that isn't like believable. Like it sounds like it doesn't sound like two people who are actually like find each other attractive. Does that make sense?
They
Like,
hate each other.
they kind of actively hate each other.
They are like each other's worst enemies, but they're dating.
Yeah.
And they never stop talking about how either they're so into each other, but that's a bad thing, or the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Or they're good at communicating, but they suck at it, or vice versa. Like they flip flop
Yeah.
like a pancake.
Like a
It's
pancake.
So like you can't track it. You can't track any of it. You're watching it, and it's just one episode's one thing, the other episode's the other thing, and you go through the whole series like, man, they didn't think this through in a linear fashion whatsoever.
Yeah, and eventually we do settle on like the mystery shit. It starts to come to a head in the last couple episodes.
Yeah.
They introduce some new characters. They bring the Hex Girls in.
Oh.
Yeah.
And the Hex Girl's daughters.
Well, the way the Hex Girl stuff is introduced is that Daphne starts getting into like witchcraft. Like, you know,
She
high
becomes a
school
Wiccan.
girls are into witchcraft are kind of cringe and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it's like, this trope, you know, it's not, you know, it's 2024. This trope is not like, you know what I mean? Like, are we being for real right now? Like, this is not the 90s or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
it's
so forced.
And also, like, Daphne doesn't behave like a girl who would be interested in any of that
She's
type
a
of shit.
cheerleader.
But yeah, so she gets involved with someone whose mom was in the Hex Girls.
Yep.
And the Hex Girls are like, you know, I guess the idea is that they were a popular 90s like cult emo band or something, and now they're washed up and they're like old goths. But they actually are real witches because they actually know real witchcraft. So it's kind of like whatever. I don't know. It's just kind of like because the animation and the character designs are not like
it's just
interesting to look at.
No.
That you're just kind of like, all right, there's these kind of like blobs of characters. And before we get into like what the last couple episodes reveal, I want to introduce the second snack of this episode. Ryan, would you hold that up to camera for me, please?
Give me that. Oh, I
That's
love
right.
these so much.
That is an official little bag of Scooby Snack graham crackers. Everyone has had these before. These are a staple of all of our childhoods. And Ryan and I are going to enjoy these as we reveal who the real culprit is behind the Scooby
What's her name?
Initiative.
Janet? What was her name? Sophie? Sophie. No.
Scrappy fucking do. Scrappy fucking do.
I was talking about Uncle.
Oh, yeah. Uncle Scooby is like Velma's stepmom or something. But yeah, you open that. You put that mic up to the saran wrap. Oh. Ah.
Yeah. So, God, so I guess that's two reveals. Yeah. Uncle Scooby is the side hoe of
Velma's
dad. I forget why. She's like a secret military agent or something like that. And these are so good, man. They still just like make these constantly or no?
Yeah, these are new. These are new. What they also make are the spoiler alert. I didn't bring these, but the Scooby Doo gummies. Remember the Scooby Doo gummies that had like the fluorescent fucking blue Scooby gummy?
Yeah, that was the best one.
They changed the recipe of those. So those are like the Kellogg's brand gummies.
Too many kids started glowing after eating them.
I don't know why they changed the recipe. In fact, Scott from NerdSync has a video on that exact thing where he was like, I want to find like what the blue Scooby gummy was. I still get them from time to time. Every now and then I'm like, you know what I want in my office next to my computer? A box of those Scooby Doo gummies. But Scooby Doo graham crackers taste exactly like how they tasted.
Bad Scooby Doo food? Because it's a show known for like
Good
best food.
Right. Is there bad Scooby Doo food?
I don't think there's any bad snacks I can think of.
I can't recall ever having a bad Scooby Doo food.
I'm
Like,
sure
there-
there's something, but like any that like hit and everybody knows. Like I can't think of one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some gross like Scooby branded something like dog food maybe or some shit. But I'm not a dog. I can't judge.
You don't know unless you try.
Right? Maybe that'll be the next snack I bring out. Who knows?
Oh fuck.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, did Scooby ever have those ice pops that have the gumballs for eyes?
No, that was like a SpongeBob and like
SpongeBob, Ninja
Powerpuff
Turtles.
Girls. That was like not Nickelodeon. That was the Cartoon Network stuff.
But Scooby Doo was Cartoon Network.
But I don't. Wait, no, there was a Scooby.
There was a Scooby one, wasn't there?
I think it was good.
There was a Sonic one. I mean, I love those. As a kid, those were like my go-tos. Yeah, look up Scooby Doo foods. What are the Scooby Doo foods? Scooby Doo like real life foods. I guess like Scooby Doo themed foods. Ah, smart.
Mm-hmm.
This is why they pay. This is why you have a laptop over there and I don't.
That's why
'Cause-
they pay me.
That's yeah.
These are all just people trying to make things from the show, though.
Look up like Scooby Doo brand foods, maybe. Scooby Doo. This is all staying in. If you're watching this right now, you're watching this part.
If you're listening to this, we don't like you.
No. All right. So those are Scooby Doo graham crackers. Those are the gummies.
I don't know what that is. That looks
Click on that. What's that? Oh, those
Great.
are fucking the bomb.
Those are great.
Those are like little hard candies.
Yeah, there's. Oh,
For those of you watching
like
at
kind of
home,
like runts almost, like the little.
yeah, they are.
Yeah,
I've had those recently. Those are
Oh.
like I have those in my
Memory
car.
Unlocked. That is good.
I use those to like hold SD cards and shit because the tins they come
Yeah.
in are metal. There's the classic gummies.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of
dude.
this is on camera, but we're describing in great detail what we're looking at.
Oh, these are
Like
so good.
the Scooby Doo gum. What are those? What are those purple ones?
These?
Scroll up. What is that purple thing right up there? Well, that's cat food. Or no, is that lasagna? What is that?
Binky Bites? Those
It's
are
like-
kind of like those little panda ones. You ever see those? I think it's like
yeah.
that. But that would still be good.
That would be good because Hello Panda cookies are good. Oh, they had Scooby Doo Krispy Kreme donuts. Did you ever have those?
I don't think so. Hold on. let me look
Dude,
up
that
ice
was
cream.
last year. Those fucking ruled. Scooby Doo ice cream. Yeah, I mean, Scooby Doo foods are all good. That's it, objectively. Oh, what are those Scooby Doo ice creams? Yeah, look at there on the right. What are those?
Here.
Oh, I remember the push ups. Oh, those are,
There
yeah,
it
I
is.
remember that one too.
Oh, I remember the push-ups.
I remember those. Those were cool. Oh, Scrappy Pops. Oh,
I
wait.
think I remember those.
The
Those are like
Scooby Doo fucking Halloween
Yeah.
cookies. Oh, those. That was
How
one
does
thing.
anybody not like this shit?
This shit
How
is
can,
awesome.
how can you write Velma after knowing everything that's going on here? Like, what had you ruin your day so much?
What are those 3 colored ones? Wait, what's the Eddie's? What's Eddie's Scooby Doo ice cream? What is that? What flavor is that supposed to be? Dryers,
Cookie dough
cookie dough,
and peanut butter.
They gave Scooby Doo 2 of the best ice cream flavors and put them together. I don't know if they're good together. They're probably just like a little overwhelming because peanut butter is a little much. But you ever have like some Reese's cups in your ice cream or some shit, and that's just
I'm actually not a big fan of Reese's, but I can respect it.
But peanut butter is also just like an S tier like dessert.
Dude, I just eat peanut butter. Like,
Me
on a
too,
spoon
yeah.
all the time.
Scooby
Let's
Doo
just talk
food
about
is
this
the
for the
bomb.
rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Let's
Let's have another graham cracker
Yeah,
before
yeah.
we talk a little bit about Scrappy.
Man, do you have any more of those cigarettes before we talk about Scrappy?
Cigarettes are empty.
I know. So,
Scrappy Doo. So after making a massive fuss during the marketing of season 1 and the fact that there will be no talking dog in this show, it is gritty and real and for adults. There's not going to be any magic or monsters or Scrappy Doo.
they folded
Season 2
immediately.
introduces magic, sci-fi, monsters, and Scrappy Doo.
They folded immediately.
Season
It's
2.
So, Scooby, the science project.
Yes. So Velma in season 2 expands on Scooby a lot. That's the premise of the second season.
Yeah.
The whole mystery is about the Scooby Initiative thing. It is full sci-fi, which is what the first season said it will not be.
Uh-huh.
It has monster shit in it, which is what the first season said it will not do.
Sadly.
Yeah, with like a super soldier and a fucking monster creature dog. And it has a talking dog, which the first show explicitly was marketed on not doing because it's not cool or whatever. Season 2 immediately did all the shit they said they weren't doing in season 1, but because it was so like against their will, I guess, or because it was so backhanded, they just fucking did the worst version of it possible.
I think they should have just led with that. If they started off with like, okay, we're doing mad science and monsters and all that kind of shit, like hopefully they would have come up with something better.
Yeah, I mean,
Like, just start with that. Don't. There's so much inconsistency with the show.
Also,
That's what
Velma's
makes-
panic attacks are gone.
Yeah, no, she resolved that.
She resolved that. And
At
like,
some point, they got resolved.
she was.
Yeah, that got resolved at some point. Shaggy got panic attacks.
Yeah, he starts getting them in season
Or
2.
Norville.
Yeah, Norville starts getting panic attacks a lot, and that's the thing that where they introduce the fact that like he eats his problems, and that's like a compelling way to introduce that. Like we said earlier, we already covered this, but yeah, Norville starts getting the panic attacks, and they introduce like the eating thing, and it's actually like an interesting character beat, and then they immediately are like, "Yeah, but you're a fucking idiot, and get over it." And he's like, "You're right, I should get over it." Like it's pretty
And
much
he gets
like,
over it.
Yeah.
He's fine.
But
Just works.
when Scrappy Doo is introduced, they do the gag that's like the laziest shit ever about how Scrappy Doo ruined Scooby Doo and all that stuff, and they make
Oh
jokes
my
about it.
Screw you guys. Scrappy's fine. He's just a little Scooby.
We're gonna set the record here.
Okay, let's hear it.
Scrappy Doo is chill as fuck.
Are you kidding? He's awesome.
Scrappy Doo. Listen, I know everyone likes to clown on Scrappy Doo killing Scooby Doo or Scrappy Doo being annoying and all this stuff. Scrappy Doo was fine. Scrappy Doo was fine. I didn't want him in every episode.
No,
But he wasn't in every
he's a nephew.
episode.
He's a nephew. He comes over every now and then.
Exactly. That's Scrappy Doo was fine. No one should be as passionate in their hatred to Scrappy Doo as they
Well,
are.
I hate Scrappy Doo in the live actions just because he's a villain.
He's only in one.
Yeah, and he's a little shit.
He's a bad guy, but it's a good bit.
Oh no, he's great.
I don't hate him.
He's great.
He's a bad guy.
No, I
don't
hate him for the same reason I hate the guy that played Joffrey in Game of Thrones. I'm just like, oh,
He's good. You
I'm
hate
like-
him
I'm
because
like-
he's
I'm
good.
like, you son of a bitch. You're
Yeah.
evil.
Scrappy Doo is fine.
Yeah, I've always been fine with Scrappy.
Scooby Duo is pro Scrappy Doo. If you're anti Scrappy Doo, get the fuck out of here.
Just leave.
If you're anti Scrappy Doo, stop. Don't be anti Scrappy Doo. Ryan,
feel
get in here. Don't be anti Scrappy Doo. Hey,
Are these guys anti Scrappy Doo?
they're anti Scrappy Doo.
What the fuck are you still doing here? Go home. This ain't for you.
Hey, are the guys over there pro Scrappy Doo? Go check.
Come over here. Come over here. These guys are cool. You know who these guys like?
Those guys are pro Scrappy Doo.
You know who they like? They like Dynamite.
I like Dynamite. I like Dynamite. You guys are
You guys
chill.
like these guys are chill. You dap me up. Dap me up.
You guys got to be more like those guys.
Right side gang.
Right.
You can just flip the footage.
Oh, no, that's just like Velma. How Velma's like really right leaning.
Oh yeah, no, she's Charlie Kirk levels of just when we go to a school and talk politics.
To transition back to Velma. Velma season 2 culminates at like a wedding, and while there, all this shit has come to such a head that like the military is involved in taking down this because the super soldier shit. And Scrappy Doo has injected himself with so much like serum and testosterone.
He's a monster.
That he's mutated himself into a little monster. And he is just like, I'm going to fucking kill you. And he runs at Velma and he fucking kills Velma.
he is an honest Scrappy dude. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and he just does.
And then-
Spoiler, I guess.
He kills Velma. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to fucking kill Daphne now. And he jumps towards Daphne.
And then a fucking
misses-
ICBM falls from the sky. So, quick little story. We wanted to rewatch the ending to make sure we got it right because we had just watched the Halloween special. And we're like, okay, let's make sure we figured out where season 2 left off.
Gigi,
correctly.
remember from season 1, her dad is in the military.
He's like the king of the military. You can just call in like airstrikes like that.
He's
That's
like, by the way, I called an airstrike in. We got to get the fuck out of here now.
And so pretty much we click on a scene online where some funny guy like just edits in like Lord of the Rings clips to the videos and make fun of them. He just posted that scene and we were
It was like a
watching.
2-minute clip. We didn't know it was going to be edited.
No, it was completely fine at the very end. He's like, I got some opinions. But we were watching it, and yeah, like you said, just Scrappy looks at them up on a balcony. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. He just runs in the house. Daphne's getting carried away on a helicopter. For some reason, all the lines sound like they're like a bad translation.
Yes.
Like everything.
Which is how most of the show, all the lines are delivered as if they're like just reading it for the first time.
Absolutely. But for some reason, this one was like, it's like they were parodying
Action
skits.
movies.
Like, yeah, she's just like, you can't do it. He's like, no, you have to.
And we're back.
Think so.
All right.
Think so.
All right. So we were talking
Camera
about
exploded.
action movie. The whole set exploded. Actually, I had to be rebuilt.
I died.
This
It was
is a
crazy,
reshoot.
just like in Velma. Anyway.
That's what we're talking about.
God damn it.
Yeah, they're screaming at each other from the helicopter. Screaming at each other.
Yeah, so she's screaming at Velma from a helicopter. She's getting carried off. Scrappy walks in. He says his iconic line.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
And then pretty much he runs forward and he just kills Velma.
Kills Velma.
Nothing to it. He just like jumps and scratches her and
And she
she
dies.
falls off a balcony and that's it. And he's jumping towards Daphne and then literally an ICBM, like a
Fucking rocket hits him.
hellfire missile falls out of the sky and hits him. Because again,
Gigi's dad,
no,
minutes earlier.
Gigi's dad is president of the military or whatever.
Yeah.
He's the king of military, Mr. Gunsman, and he just called in a missile right on that dog right at that moment.
But the
And
dog
blows the
survived.
fuck up.
He comes back and his wounded design is like truly disgusting.
Oh yeah.
He's
'cause-
like
yeah,
I don't know, like
Scrappy gets
open
up
wounds
and he's
and scars.
so fucked up and he's like running towards everybody.
He just starts like killing an old woman for fun. He's just
Yeah.
like old woman, and he just kills her.
Yeah, that's like he's from Newark.
Oh God! he just fucking kills a random old woman.
Yeah, just
and
like that.
and then they're like, "All right, good, kill that person, don't kill us." I think they literally say something.
Oh
okay.
no, yeah. Well, that was a little bit before because when Scrappy notices that Velma's
right,
up
I
on a
got it out of order.
balcony, Velma goes like, "No, don't notice us. Keep killing those people. Leave us alone." I'm like, "Wow, you're a horrible person." To the end, you were just the worst person. But yeah, she gets killed.
Yeah, what it is? He's approaching
The balcony.
the military guy and Daphne after the missile hits him.
Yes, so
and-
he's all fucked up and he's running towards them.
King of military pulls out a pistol, just starts shooting the dog.
And he's just getting shot. There's no magic.
They're just
He's
like pinging off of him.
He's just taking the bullets.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a fuck. And then, they're about to die. And then Daphne hears Velma's voice.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what she says because
She says, I got this or some shit like that. And then Scrappy just kind of goes like, "Ah!" and his eyes glow.
roll back and start like going white, and he just starts contorting on the ground, and his veins go all green. It's kind of cool.
Dies immediately.
Just dies.
Dies
It's
immediately.
the first time I've ever seen in any source material that being possessed is just a deadly thing.
Immediately kills you. Immediately kills
Because I was like, can ghosts just do that? What if The Exorcist was like she got possessed and she
Short
just
movie.
fucking died?
Short
And they're all
movie.
like, well, is the demon here anymore? No, she died.
Would you imagine The Exorcist?
Yeah.
Because the priest doesn't go to the child's house until like kind of far into the movie. So you're watching this movie. It's about this priest. His mother is sick. You see this family. Something's wrong with their daughter. She plays with a Ouija board or whatever. And then the priest gets there and the demon pisses the child and it just goes like, "Grr!" Eyes glow and it dies. And it's just like, all right, Reagan's dead.
It's like
Demon's gone.
that would have been tragic, but honestly, such a spared headache for the family. Because like, what if possession is always such a long, drawn out thing? Like, there's the temptation. The kid turns their head backwards, starts
Start climbing like a fucking spider.
Honestly, if you're like Ryan, you're gonna get possessed.
Your
What would
mother
you prefer?
sucks cocks in hell.
Yeah, would I prefer that I just die, or that I go through 2 weeks of priests yelling at me, cursing at my family, cutting
Several dead
myself?
bodies.
I would start decaying while alive, and then can you imagine just waking up? Because in the movie they always show like they wake up and they're back to normal. Fuck no.
Yeah, imagine.
I would wake up and I'm like half decayed. Like,
Right.
I need some Need some CeraVe just to put.
Is there any Exorcist movie, like obviously not in the Exorcist franchise, but like any movie about possession where after the demon is gone, the person who is possessed is still like green and cut up and shit like that?
That'd
like,
be so much. That'd be cool.
that would be kind of compelling.
Well, because like
Because then
it's
you
always
could-
like they're turning into a demon. Like their teeth sharpen. They contort. They break their own bones. And then like
They're back to
They
normal.
leave and it's like, oh my god! It's just like the Green Mile when the woman has like cancer and she's like all freaked out. He heals her, then she's just suddenly glowing. She's like, "Thank you." That ain't how it works.
I mean, some movies, it's obvious. I mean, it's fake. It's fake. What do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Evil Dead, they go to like these ghouls and then they go back to normal or whatever. Or
Yeah.
mostly they just get killed. Or like even in like The Pope's Exorcist, for example, like
Great movie.
unironically, really fun movie. Really fun. But like the kid becomes like contorted. Like it's like a demon's face on a child kind of looking thing.
Yeah.
But like in a lot of them, it is just like self-harm and shit like that, and like scratching their face and like they're decaying, like you're saying, and then it goes away. It's like, no, what if like when the demon broke its back on the thing, the person's back actually broke?
Because like in movies that are
That's the implication,
in
right?
movies that are true, like not true, but like realistic, like serial killer stuff, the effects do last. Like you look at Hannibal,
yeah.
and how Gary Oldman's character is just scarred from just one night with Hannibal Lecter, or you look at Nope, the girl that got hit by the monkey
Right.
attack, and she just has to wear a veil always. Can you imagine how fucked it'd be if you get possessed and then you just wake up one day and you're just self-mutilated, and that's just
that could be like I don't know, like that could be like a compelling narrative beat in a movie that is similar to The Exorcist.
hello,
That
Jordan
the-
Peele. Hello, what, me again?
Oh.
You shouldn't have.
Because like imagine there is a beat like in, I guess to bring up Hannibal again, in like Silence of the Lambs or like Manhunter, where they go to another serial killer to be like, hey, what's your input? Or like
But they go to like
they go to someone who
possession
was
survivor.
possessed, yeah, and it's someone who like is like like because The Exorcist 2 is kind of about like the aftermath of it, but the movie is kind of, it's not all the way there.
Yeah.
But like imagine a movie that does deal with both an exorcism and the aftermath of the exorcism in a narratively interesting way. I mean, I guess this has nothing to do with Scooby Doo.
This has everything to do with Scooby Doo.
But yeah, Scrappy immediately.
We got to
fucking
make a
dies.
Scooby Doo episode that just does this.
Yeah.
That's a Scooby Doo episode we're gonna make then.
Oh yeah.
They Hannibal Lecter of possession survivor, but it's all for Scooby Doo shit.
Wait a minute. Okay, there is a cartoon episode of Scooby Doo that is R-rated. That is good. Supernatural crossed over with Scooby Doo.
Yes.
And it was a genuinely funny, like genuinely like compelling, fun episode of Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
And that episode had like R-rated shit in it. It just dawned on me right now because you were like possession and Scooby Doo, and I was like, has there been another adult Scooby Doo? And there was.
Scooby Apocalypse.
Scooby Apocalypse, the comic book is great. Yeah. Imagine if that got animated. But no, we got Velma.
We got Velma.
Yeah.
Huh.
And you know what Scooby Apocalypse also has that was really compelling, unlike Velma? An interesting take on Scrappy.
Oh yeah, in case you didn't realize that's the end of season 2.
That's it. That's how the show ends.
Yeah, Velma's dead.
Velma's a ghost now. Oh, I guess ghosts are real? And then cut to credits. And then cut to credits. It ends.
Yeah, and they have a post-credit scene where they have her body in a freezer, and they say like, we can bring her back with magic, but only on Halloween night.
Yes. And then the rest of the credits play.
When did season 2 come out?
A couple months ago. Earlier this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess they had this Halloween special locked and loaded for a while.
So that's the post-credit scene that I didn't watch. So when the show ended like that, I was like,
so this,
all right,
this was me
end.
at the tail end of all of this, just trying to get through it for this episode, and I was so like just dazed and out of it. And
I remember you kept saying like you would watch an episode and a plot beat would come up that felt like it was referencing something in a previous episode, and you'd be like, did I miss something? Did I miss like a chunk here?
Yeah, they would just get to somewhere. I'm like, did that happen? Where is this coming from?
Right.
Like it's super non-connected story with a lot of side plot that really doesn't go anywhere. And honestly, it just felt like a serious waste of time. I have a midterm in 2 days.
Yeah, he's going back for further education.
It's disgusting. But I have a midterm
Like a
in 2 days,
nerd.
and every single time that I was watching Velma, I started just getting nervous. I'm just like,
I have responsibilities outside.
I was like, I have a job I have to like tend to. I have other projects I'm working on, and I'm just sitting here watching Velma, and I know that Velma's not giving me anything back.
This last week, I've done like 4 13-hour work days, and I'm just like, Saturday, I get to talk about Velma.
Yeah. And then here's the thing. Over there, we got a nice little prop, which is just like a bunch of the Scooby Doo movies, and they're
Some fun ones. Whatever we
all
found,
good.
like the first thing we looked at the shelf.
I just looked at the shelf, and that's all we could pick out. There's more in this house,
Yeah.
but those are all good. Every single one there is a banger.
Yeah. Something that we would probably more gladly be talking about in one of these episodes.
That's
than
one of the things is I started craving
real
watching
Scooby-Doo.
one of these
Real Scooby-
from Velma because I'm watching Velma. I'm like, this is just, it's making fun of me. It's not taking any of this seriously, and it doesn't have to. But
No,
you got to be
yeah.
genuine. Like, you got to be into it. And it just felt like you guys who are writing the show hate Scooby-Doo stuff in general. And I'm like, why am I here watching this when I got these bangers just sitting on the shelf? I could just put one of these in and just change my whole day.
Yeah.
I would go from like a normal day, then I watch this, and I start getting sad because I'm wasting my time. And I'm just like, oh, this sucks.
Meanwhile,
But I could just put that on
yeah.
and just do that diner scene and the witches go. Oh man, I want it to be Thanksgiving.
Meanwhile, HBO Max took a fully completed Scooby-Doo animated feature film,
I was
Scoob
punching
Holiday Pond,
drywall.
and put it in a shredder and just fucking deleted it and wrote it off for taxes.
Tax break. Delete Scoob too.
And then we got Velma season 2 and Velma Holiday whatever special.
I came for the Velma Christmas special.
There is a fully completed Scooby-Doo feature-length film, fully animated. The director himself has posted a screenshot saying, "This is fully done. I have this. This is a fully finished movie." And it is contraband. It is effectively an illegal piece of media like to own. And no one can watch it, and we are now never allowed to watch it, or no one is ever fucking allowed to release it. None of the artists are allowed to see their work, be like the fruits of their labor. It got canceled the same time as Batgirl. And then a year later, a year after the fucking Batgirl thing, earlier this year, Wile E. Coyote movie, another one, put in the fucking shredder. Thousands and thousands of people's jobs and hard work were just deleted.
I loved Scoob.
Scoob was great.
Such a fun movie.
Scoob was really fun.
And the second one, I was so ready for it, especially that they brought in like Captain Caveman and they're going like the wacky racers. Like,
yeah, but the second one was also just going to be like a lower budget, just regular Scooby-Doo movie,
hell yeah.
which is fucking awesome because the animation of that movie is incredible.
Dick Dastardly just makes dick jokes the whole movie.
Dick Dastardly was one of my favorite characters from Wacky Racers.
It was so
It's
funny.
awesome.
You can call me Dick.
Rick.
Yeah, Dick.
Dick.
Dick. It was just so good.
I don't know. It is a fun. I know people don't love that movie, but I enjoy that movie a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, but instead, Velma got 2 seasons and a movie.
And
Meanwhile,
now
Scoob couldn't
Halloween
even get a
special.
fucking spinoff.
So they came out with a Halloween special. Season 2 ended with Velma dead and everything kind of resolved as it is. Like there's kind of nothing left to do.
Yeah, roughly 2 hours into the episode, we're actually going to talk about the subject of this episode.
Yeah, so now we're going to actually start talking about what this episode's about.
Yeah,
We're
so
going to start now. In case you guys,
Scooby-Doo.
I hope that was a good warm up for you guys, but now we're going to begin.
All right, so the intro is over. Roll the theme song.
Take a ride in the mystery machine, the Scooby Duo. Na 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 na.
So, yeah, pretty much season 2 ends. Velma's dead. All the mysteries are resolved and cleaned up. There's nothing left except for that she's dead. That's a good place to be.
I don't know if that's coming out on the microphone, but there's just like a lot of water running around us, and I thought like the basement was gonna flood. I was like, what? Huh?
So, yeah, season 2 ends off probably the best situation they've had in the whole show, where
Right.
there's just no
Velma's
mysteries going
dead.
on, and Velma's dead.
The mystery is done.
We're done.
Yeah.
The show's over.
So
And-
yeah.
So, see, wow.
Season. Okay. So wait. Okay.
Halloween special.
Let's psych ourselves up for this. Let's I know exactly what we need.
Okay.
We need something to get us into the mood to talk
Okay.
about the Velma holiday special, and that is the Shackalicious gummies. Today's
I thought it was the Scooby-Doo gummies. Why do you have those? What the fuck are those? Give me.
So
give me-
in keeping with the theme,
What? Do you think he had any part in this other than just like signing off on the name in his face? Like, do you think he sought out to have this made?
in order to get us in the mood to talk about
Gummies from the biggest kid in the candy store. Why they just wanted his head? They couldn't think of anything else to put.
These are brand new.
They could put like a
basketball.
basketball or like a silhouette of him, or they just wanted his bald ass head in the 3 colors. And why those 3 colors? Why do you have pink and red and no other colors?
Pink and red are 2 of the 3 colors. Yeah, I was trying to figure this out. Right?
Oh, it's not even red. It's just orange, peach berry punch.
I wish I brought them, but there's 2 types of Shackalicious gummies you can buy. There's these that I got right now.
Am I opening these?
Yeah, open them right now. And ooh, unboxing sound effect. Yeah, but yeah, put them on the table. And there's also sour ones, but the sour ones are not his head.
Oh my god, they're huge.
Yeah, no, they're Shaq size. Here,
Holy
pass
shit,
me one.
dude! He looks like a tiki.
It doesn't even look like him. It
He
looks
look-
like
he
a
looks-
fucking.
he looks the final boss of the first Tron movie. God, that is haunting.
And you know what the best part is? These don't feel like the knockoff cheap like Kellogg's gummies.
You ever watch Goosebumps?
These are like Swedish fish.
Oh my god, they're good.
They're good, right?
Wait, no, no, I don't want to have to like these.
I saw these at like the gas station on the on the
They're
way
good.
here.
They taste just like Swedish fish.
So some behind the scenes they do, right? They're like Swedish fish.
Feel
but like,
wrong.
we were supposed to film this last week,
God, it looks nothing like him.
and I was gonna do this snack bit as well.
This is just like a guy.
It's
they
just
they couldn't actually get a scan of his head, so they just used Gary from marketing.
I was like, all right, I want them to be increasingly ridiculous and large. So I got the candy sticks are so tiny, right? They were just in my pocket. Scooby snacks, a small little bag, some little cookies. These are things that everyone knew about, but it's kind of weird to bring out cookies on an episode. Last week at the gas station, I saw those on the way here to film this, and we had to reschedule. And I was like, "That's the perfect one."
The blue one tastes like the blue gummy.
It does kind of, right? It's a little bit more raspberry flavored.
Well, here's one thing I noticed, just like on a technical standpoint. These are big, but they really don't catch the resolution that they put on the box art. It just doesn't look like him.
Yeah,
Think about the Scooby ones. Those looked like what they
Scooby,
looked
yeah.
like. They were like firm.
and that goes back to Scooby Doo having better character design than Shaquille O'Neal. But the sour
Dude,
version,
but no,
of
but
these
Shaq
gummies-
is a canonical Scooby character, is he not?
correct. So Shaquille O'Neal, there's sour versions of these. I've yet to try them. I literally bought these to try it here, but because last week we were supposed to film this, these were in my car and they were melting. So I tried them, and that's how I know that they're good. But the sour ones don't have Shaq heads. They're like a cactus is one of the shapes. The other 2 shapes I don't remember what they are, but
Sounds like an Arizona iced tea bottle.
it has which Arizona's most popular flavor was for a little while.
Yeah.
Shaq soda. Do you remember?
So Velma has a Halloween episode. Why the fuck are we eating Shaq heads? What the fuck is happening?
It's the 3rd snack of the episode.
They're so good.
What flavor did you just pass me?
I've
Is
had
that
each
orange?
one. That was probably orange. You want another orange?
What is it?
Or is that peach? I don't know.
I don't know. I hold it in front of the blue light and it turns blue.
This one's green.
That one's green.
Oh, that one's like it looks green.
It has
green.
cracks, right?
Dude, you ever see Goosebumps? There's an episode about voodoo and shrunken heads.
Yeah.
It looked like this. God, he was like one of the babies from Resident Evil 8. Holy shit. But they're really good, though. Go buy yourself some Shakalicious gummies.
So the premise of this podcast,
Proud sponsor of this video.
I had to buy 2 packs of this for this. But the premise of this podcast is that we dissect single episodes of Scooby Doo. So the episode we're talking about today, 2 hours and 15 minutes into this recording, is the Velma Holiday Halloween special from October of 2024.
In case you thought this would be like a nice standalone thing, it is not. You have to watch all of Velma to understand what the fuck is going on at all. And here's the thing. I watched it on like a fresh pass through of Velma, and I still was like missing details. And Danny, who hasn't seen it in a while, had to get his memory jogged on a couple things. For example, it started and I was like, oh yeah, Velma's dead.
Yeah.
Never resolved. Like, they were really banking on more Velma coming out. She's dead. Fucking
and it opens
gorged open, like done.
Cold open is like in the like Fred mansion freezer. Like the Jones
Swedish Fish ones. Pack that in there.
Oh yeah, this.
Pack a shack. Yeah, so we open in one. We open in one of Fred's freezers or something.
Pack a shack. They're in French. Velma's body is on ice, and they're all wearing cloaks, and they're trying to revive her.
They made a cult around Velma to revive her.
Was it? Is it Dawn? Who's the head of the
red hex girl?
The hex girl is there with her daughter.
It's Dusk, right?
Dusk, right? I said Dawn.
Well, one of them is Dawn, I think. One's Star something. There's one like named Star something, I think.
Point is, she's there and she's like 50, and it's funny because haha,
old people are funny,
old and goth or whatever. But
that's my favorite
Pack
joke.
A shack. Pack a shack. I'm old and goth, and I'm packing a shack. Oh, I keep that thing on me, and by that thing, I mean
my shack.
My shack. I'm a Shackalicious XL gummies.
These are good. I can't stop eating them. I don't want to. It's scaring me the way he's looking at me. I feel like it's doing something to me. Imagine these are just like alcoholic.
Oh, is that what's wrong with us? Is that what's wrong with us?
It's just such a haunting face. Not you, Shaq. Whoever the fuck this is, because that ain't Shaq.
They're trying to use witchcraft to bring Velma back to life, and it ain't working. For some reason,
if I bite it in half, will he scream like somewhere in the world? It's just like
let's see.
Sick.
Yeah. Let's see if I remember to edit that in.
It's just kind of messed up because like when I bite it in half, it looks like gore.
It does, right? Because it's kind of shiny and red.
But he's still smiling.
He's happy. You know, let's bring up Hannibal again. Remember when what is it, John Travolta? No, it's fucking
Gary Oldman.
No. Excuse me.
Oh.
Fucking Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta. Like, here you go. And he's like, thank you. And he feeds him his brain. Fucking god damn it.
They try to revive Velma and it's not working. She's still a ghost. Ooga booga booga.
So the reason why is because they need a specific spell from a specific book that is specifically too evil because it gave the Hex Girl character like dark thoughts or something, like it desired
so they
body
put it in like
or
a
blood.
museum thingy. Like it's behind glass.
It's behind glass in like an old folks home.
Yeah, it's like you can't get it, so it's going to be a heist episode, people. It's going to be a
so you think until they go to the old folks home, an old woman dies immediately.
Yeah, so now old people are dying.
An old person dies immediately, and it's like I think it's not even related.
Yeah.
They just go there and they're like, oh, she fell down the stairs because she was wearing a Catwoman costume that was too tight.
If this sounded interesting, let me pull you away from that real quick with today's subplot. There's a sexy Halloween grave party going on.
True.
So the town every year on Halloween has a party by the graves, like in the graveyard, for all the popular kids where they all just make out. And they really want to animate people making out. They put effort into like people making out, like a lot.
A lot.
And it's only the popular
kids. It cuts
kids.
back pretty frequently to all the sexy Halloween people making out.
Yeah. All the time.
Like pretty consistently it cuts back to that. But back at the old folks' home, Velma's floating around as a ghost because now I guess everyone just sees her as a ghost and they're just like, that's okay. And
well, I wrote here, does this confirm any kind of a religion?
Wiccan. Daphne was right.
Well, they do use a spell book.
Yeah.
And there's a whole legend in town. So this pleasant surprise is a Black Knight's Ghost episode.
Well,
we'll get
it's
there.
a surprise. It's a surprise.
It's like I thought they were finally going to, bring a character like a villain from Scooby Doo into it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just have him be a cool ghost.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. But
my hot take.
It's like
we'll talk about it.
It's like every single year somebody dies at the Halloween party.
Yeah, one sexy person in a sexy costume.
Somebody always falls to death, and then now you have this old woman that fell to her death, and it's kind of
because she was wearing a sexy costume.
She was wearing a sexy costume, and it's like the Black Knight's ghost. Ooh, it's the curse.
Yeah. So the curse of the Black Knight's ghost is that in the 80s, was it in the 80s, they had a sexy Halloween costume party as well?
Yeah, because I think, what happened is they had a party in the 80s. It was like the first one.
Yeah.
And only the popular kids were invited. And there was some guy, I'm trying to find his name. But
they say it later when he appears.
Yeah, some guy, he wasn't invited.
He was wearing a knight's armor, which is too try-hard for a sexy party.
Too try-hard. Covers too much. Not good enough.
While wearing, authentic knight armor.
So what happens? He sneaks into the party, and he's like, "I want to get in on the action."
Right? He wants to watch all the hot kids make out.
He wants to be part of the.
He wants to join
part of the party, and pretty much all of our main characters is pretty all their parents. Kill him.
Yeah, that's revealed that it's specifically their parents.
Yeah, it's like all the kids back in the 80s murder him.
Yeah, they all they chase him to a cliff edge.
They chase him out of the party. They get to a cliff edge and they push him off and he dies. But we're hearing all this from him. He meets Velma at the scary bookstore thingy. He hears a voice or something.
Well, no, was it?
It's
what order does this happen again? We watched this just recently. Okay, so they go to the old folks' home. They hear the legend of the Black Ghost. And then she goes because she hears the book calling her name.
Yeah, and I think that's where she meets him.
Is that where she meets him?
Because he shows up behind her when she's in the room with the book, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he tells her, no, I'm just a nerdy guy, and I got fucking murdered by the popular kids back in the 80s. It was a normal thing that happened back then.
Right. And then it cuts back and forth. It's cutting between three plots at this point in one Halloween special.
Well, there's a fourth one that shows up with Fred getting a job.
Yeah, well, yes. Well, Fred has his own subplot the whole episode.
Who's the person that shows up?
Fred goes to his dad.
The famous lady.
Oh, we'll get to that. Not yet. She hasn't shown up yet.
Yeah, they keep trying to throw out Velma's body, by the way. The Jones family, they're just like, throw her out.
But yeah.
And Fred's like, what?
Fred's like, no, don't throw her out. By the way, Dad, I think I know a way to get this witch book that they need to bring back Velma. It's a $5,000 audiobook. Can you buy it for me?
Probably one of the best ideas in the whole show is the idea of saying, there's this old ancient book. We just got to get the audiobook for it to get all the spells out of it.
The gag is there can only be one version of it.
Yeah.
And if the audiobook is $5,000, no one's bought it. So Fred buys it, and it's an audiobook. Well, we'll get to that because they listen to it later. But yeah, he asks his dad for the money. And then I think that's when the knight shows up. That's when Velma comes back and is like, hey, look who I found.
Yeah.
And it's the Black Knight's ghost.
And he tells the whole story. So they start doing some digging into the book, listening to the audiobook. and we learn about like what the spell is and how to break it.
Right. Well, yeah, they pull out the audiobook after they all reconvene at the sexy party or some shit.
Yeah, well, they're getting set up for the sexy part. They're setting up a big stage for like an R&B artist that's showing up. I forget who.
Oh, Saweetie.
Oh, yes.
Famous for her McDonald's meal or some shit that she had like 2 years ago.
So she's in this town for whatever reason.
She's going to be singing at the concert.
She's going to be singing, and pretty much everybody in the gang learns that in order to revive Velma, everybody performing the ritual has to efface their fear.
Mhm.
So the episode's that. It's just.
But there is a really fun cameo. The guy who is voicing the audiobook is Richard Kind.
That is true. And they call him by name, too.
Yeah.
It is just Richard Kind.
It's Richard Kind doing the audiobook for the witch book.
So,
And that's a good bit.
yeah, they pretty much, everybody breaks off to face their fears. And they all
In
know
your
what
notes,
their fear is.
wait, hold up.
Which part?
I'm breaking the fourth wall here.
Uh-huh.
In your notes, you wrote McDonald's meal R&B artist shows up at the graveyard party.
That's a valid note. What are you talking about?
You're not wrong. So you're not, but that's a bad, like McDonald's meal R&B artist. Oh fuck, that's a Shackalicious. Go, let me pack a Shack.
Let's pack it, man. I get double pack.
Oh, blue one. Here, I only want one. I can only take so much sugar. I can only pack so much Shack, man. You give me a break. God damn it.
My notes are terrible. Like I have a note right here that says, I hate her voice. I don't know what
What are you talking about?
I don't know what I'm referring to at all.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. We'll get to that. Where's the note? Oh, it is right there.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is when. So
I remember now.
it's because Saweetie is, she's not an actress. She's a singer.
Yeah,
right?
this is just like not even just like an actress. Like this is voiceover. This is voice acting.
Yeah.
That's
So she just kind of is like reading the sentences on the page.
She's like, oh my God, Freddie.
She's like,
doing?
Oh, I heard there's a Black Knight's ghost here. I have to leave. Or
I can't imagine having that script and looking at her and just handing it and just being like, I need you to take this seriously.
I need you to read the line that says, I came here to support Daphne and I'm gonna do it. Like, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so the spell, they activate the spell, and in order to actually get it to work, they all get the mark of the witch, which is like a triangle on their arm
Yeah.
that tells them that they have to face their biggest fear, and then it'll eventually free Velma's soul
At one
from
point,
purgatory and let her go into his body.
somebody mentions that St. Patrick's Day is the scariest day of the year. And I was like, okay. There's also another point where Velma says spicy meatball, like when talking about Italian stuff. So I'm like double attacked in this.
Good. Dude, this show is so conservative that they're doing 1800s racism.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm talking about here. This show is not. They're sneaking secretly alt-right messaging to our children through Scooby Doo.
So Daphne's fear, I think, is just FOMO.
Yeah, her fear is
And she
the
gets
fear of
over it
missing out.
immediately. It was like she has FOMO. And then
Does she?
Well, because the R&B lady's just like, Daphne, we got to do this. And she's like, no. And then just the thing disappears. I think it happens a little bit later, but
Is that what it was?
Norville's the one that has the hardest time.
I don't even remember. We just watched this.
Oh yeah, it's forgettable as hell. Anyways, at some point, the Black Knight's ghost kidnaps Daphne, and he says the great line, like, "You're coming with me, hot stuff."
Oh yeah.
And he takes her to a cliff.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Getting some old school Scooby Doo in here.
But the now is when all the characters get their own subplot. In a single 40-minute episode, they have enough time that each of the fucking 4 or 5 characters in the show have their own A, B, C, D, E plot going on.
And this stuff starts happening like 15 minutes in, maybe?
Yeah.
So you got 25 minutes left to wrap it up.
And
you're starting 4 subplots now.
Yeah.
And some get more time than you. Like Daphne's is over quickly. He's scared of getting a job.
Yeah, and Fred's dad says like, by the way, we're completely bankrupt. You need to get a
Yeah,
job.
the stock market crash in the background.
I think it's Fred who gets over it immediately. No, because
No,
Fred,
because Fred starts doing jobs for Sweetie,
and his thing doesn't go away.
He's so bad at all of them. Like
Yeah.
he tries holding an umbrella and he can't. He tries being like a backup person or like a roadie and he can't.
Yeah.
So he can't get a job because he can't do anything. So that's not working. Norville is scared of like hurting somebody that he cares about.
Yeah. Well, that's what he thinks it is, right?
That's what he thinks it is. But so his solution to that is I'm going to break up with my girlfriend.
Yeah. So he goes up to his girlfriend and he's like, I love you. That's what I want to tell you is that I love you. And she's like, oh my God, I love you too. Like, it's like this huge thing. And he goes, it didn't go away. Actually, come with me. And he goes away and he's like, actually, I think we should break up. I don't really love you anymore.
And then she's like, oh, I was feeling kind of the same way.
She
she was accepting of it. And he's like, oh, really? And he checked his arm and it didn't go away. And he's like, okay, that didn't work. I think we should actually be together.
I was just kidding.
And
she's like, no, I know my own value. You can go fuck yourself.
She fucking shit talks because I was like, oh, wow. He just went every possible direction. So that wasn't working.
I think eventually they go back to like the school or something with the ghost. Is that what happens? They go into like a bathroom stall or some shit, right? They go because like Daphne is taking a phone call from the people planning the party.
Yeah, because they talk to him.
Because the drama, because it wouldn't be a Velma episode without a like surface level relationship drama between Daphne and Velma. And in this episode, it's that Velma, is kind of upset that Daphne is so focused on this sexy party.
His name is.
Well, wait. Is so focused on this party because she has FOMO that she's just kind of blowing off the fact that her girlfriend is fucking dead and there's a time limit that they have to bring her back to life
has to happen by midnight
tonight. Otherwise, that's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she goes into the sky to Alanis Morissette or whoever the fuck is up there, and so that's the surface level whatever drama. As if like. I mean, I guess it's consistent with their characters because the characters are terrible people, but like it's not consistent with like any sort of like, how could these people have a relationship?
It's like not even possible.
Yeah. In that scene where she catches Daphne still trying to go to the party, she introduces the fact that the Black Knight's ghost is actually chill as hell. Yeah. Or apparently, like he's just a regular guy.
How do you pronounce it? Is it just Jeff?
So his name is Jeff, but
it's spelled the dumb way.
They call him PT.
His name is Jeff P.T. Wickles, and Jeff is spelled Geoff.
Yeah.
Because he's terrible.
His name is Playtest. He's a big Hideo Kojima fan.
Yeah.
In the 80s, he was in on Hideo Kojima when he just made the first Metal Gear and some of those Game Boy games.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really good
homage. Have PT there. There's one funny Peeping Tom.
Yeah. It's revealed later that PT means Peeping Tom.
So he didn't just want to be in the party. He's like a creep.
He's a perv. And you couldn't – there's no way you can see that coming because it's almost like they have a running joke that they do like 20 times where he just stares at people who are kissing or embracing.
It's like the whole episode all he does is just keep staring at everybody.
And like referring to people by how sexy they are.
There is a funny joke in here where Velma solves something and it's satisfying. So she starts to ascend.
Yeah.
She almost goes to heaven. And she's like, wait. And she has to like get anchored back down.
Yeah.
Kind of funny.
Oh, it's Velma who gets over her fear once she does that.
Yeah.
Because she has a fear of not being remembered.
Not being remembered. Yeah. She thought her fear was like solving mysteries, but she conquered that. So she's.
Yeah.
So that was her thing.
Also, I will say the reveal later in the episode that PT stands for Peeping Tom is kind of it's a strange reveal in the way that he's not any more or less perverted than all the other characters.
Oh, he's like less.
I mean,
he's to some of the others.
Yeah, I mean, he is like staring at people while they're making out, but they're also like in public.
A sexy party.
And their whole thing is that they're all having sex or whatever in public with each other. So it's like, who is the more of a pervert? Someone who goes somewhere to like fuck publicly with a bunch of other people, going to an orgy in a graveyard, versus a guy who just I mean, he is a fucking creep, but also every character is a fucking creep.
So like, we start getting more reveals because this is like when things start picking up, where the ghost tackles the stage down, or somebody in the armor like knocks the stage over, and everybody's freaking out. He's ready to kill everybody. At one part, Velma's dad says like that he'll help the ghost kill other people because he's scared.
Well, there's also
well, because that's when we start getting the reveal about like the other side of the origin story.
Yeah, so this is when we find out that like literally every single parent of all the main characters were the people who killed the ghost.
Yeah.
And who killed PT.
And we're about to get their side that's supposed to like kind of absolve them, where they're saying, yes, we chased him out of the party, but he was peeping on us. And
when he got to the cliff, he tripped.
Yeah, they're like, when we got to the cliff, it's not that he tripped. It's that Amon, Velma's dad, tripped and accidentally knocked him off the cliff.
Yeah.
That still counts.
That's still exactly what it says.
That counts entirely.
Also, this is resolved like instantaneously.
Oh.
Like it's just
everything
like
is. Yeah.
Everything in this, again, it's the ADHD fucking pacing and writing of the show.
Yeah.
By the way, like 20, 25 minutes into the episode, we're still like just kind of figuring out like what's going on.
Yeah. Like stage falls over. I have a note here. Fred actually acted like Fred for a second where he saved somebody.
And that's what causes his thing to go away.
Yeah. He was useful. And then Sweetie does like a superhero landing off the stage and
yeah.
Pretty much the old lady that runs the old person's home.
Oh yeah, a new character.
Yeah, a new character kind of shows up and she's evil. The book has been corrupting her the whole time.
And she's a witch and she goes flying around and it's fucking insane, like Scooby Doo shit.
Yeah.
And it's revealed.
Oh, she was wearing knight's armor and she started sabotaging stuff. And that's the first time we actually had an unmasking.
Yes. And also it's revealed that it was murder because the PT says, no, I wasn't lying when I said that I was pushed. I heard them literally say, push him, and then I got pushed. And that's when the Hex girl is like, wait, you heard someone say push him?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And that's when it flashes back to the voice of the book, the witchcraft book, saying push him.
And the old
woman was there
and
claiming
she shoved him off the cliff.
Yeah. She was claiming a body for the book because the book demands like a blood sacrifice. And that's why she's like an evil satanic witch or something.
So they all face their fear in this big episode, like in this big moment. So they say, okay, let's finish the ritual quickly because time's ticking. So they all get around Velma, start doing the ritual, and then it gets deflected or intercepted.
Well, what happens is the witch, like the bad guy, just pushes PT into the ascendance thing.
Exactly. So
instead
PT
of Velma
gets sent back to his body, which is in the bottom of the ocean
and been like
cliff.
Swelling for 30 years.
So we get the first thing in a while that I was like, that kind of goes hard.
Zombie
Black Knight's ghost climbs up and then immediately it's just a wimp again.
Yeah, starts staring at people having sex.
there was a funny joke earlier on that as the ghost, he still just had the strength of like a nerdy guy.
Yeah.
Because he like tries to attack somebody and it just doesn't work because he's super weak. And then everybody learns he's not like a threat at all.
Yeah.
So you got this witch going on. You got the night zombie person showing up, but Velma's kind of stuck dead, which I'm fine with that.
Yeah. She starts flying around. It kind of becomes like an incoherent kind of fucking nightmare. The only way that they could defeat the witch is by doing sexiness.
Yeah, they learn that she's so...
And it's not just sexiness in like the traditional way. No. Sexiness can manifest in any form. It's sexiness in your physicality, sexiness in your ability to be a good dad, and sexiness in your ability to
at first this
dance and whatever and accept people. And it's like, yeah, okay, you've already done an episode about this. Like
this reminded me of the PG orgy that happens in the Great Gatsby movie.
Yeah.
Where it's just like there's curtains everywhere, everybody's kissing, like, wow, this is amazing. And I'm like, well, I read the book.
Yeah.
I know what you're replacing here. Yeah, it just starts going around to everybody. Either they're making out or it's a dad, being like assertive to a kid or something.
Like dad, being a good father.
Yeah, being a good father. And the girl's just like, damn, that's hot.
And this starts killing like the demons that are being summoned by the witch.
It's working.
It's like, oh, and you accept your girlfriend for who she is and stuff like that. Oh, the jock is like hanging out and kissing like the nerd girl, and it's like the most like shallow version of what they're going for.
It starts failing because everybody gets stage fright because Jeff is watching
them.
So they're all like, wait, we can't keep doing this with him watching. I don't remember what they did. I think they just told him to stop or something. I completely forget what they did actually.
I couldn't tell you. I think maybe the witch goes like, "All right, I'll do this."
Oh wait, no, Velma goes to hell.
Yeah, no, that's what I was about to get to.
Velma grabs the witch lady.
The witch is like, "Oh, you think you got me? Well, I got you." And then she summons a portal to hell, and it just gets dragged to hell.
Yeah. So
Oh no! You know what? This is what it is. Velma, I can't believe we have to like recall
I remember
this.
the ending now.
Velma is like, all right, well, if I can't go back to my body, I know how I could like get out of here. So she summons the ascend to heaven portal while holding on to the bad guy who was dead. Who was a
bad
ghost.
guy's like, I'm not going
And
up.
the bad guy's like, oh, you think that was going to work with me? I'm not going up. I'm going down. And then the portal to hell opens and they go
and
down.
they go to hell. And
Velma gets fucking dragged to hell.
it's over.
That's it.
For a bit. It's over. Yeah. Velma gets dragged to hell. There's no more ghosts. And everybody's all happy and kind of done with that.
Credits roll.
Yeah, I think
Credits roll.
I think credits actually
Credits
roll soon
legitimately
after
roll.
that. And then we have another end credit scene. It's
Yeah.
Velma's actual funeral.
And yeah, Daphne is like giving a speech at the funeral.
And then just you hear like knocking and pretty much
She goes, I can literally hear her now. Wait, I can literally hear her now.
and then they open the casket and Velma sits up and she's
Yeah.
alive. And they say, "Oh my God,
I'm
Velma,
alive."
You're back from hell. You're alive."
But
And she's like, "I am, but how?"
And then the camera pans over and it's Fred. And he's in the woods with the purple eyes like he's possessed by the book. Because the thing is, Velma went to hell because that would be the only way to destroy the book that was controlling the old woman. That's what it was. But because that physical book is gone, the audio book is now the new like evil book. And it's possessing Fred. And he's like, thank you, Fred. Now that you've given me this, we can go start our master plan. He goes, thank you, Richard Kind.
And he's
And
like,
it
"No,
goes,
I'm not
Richard Kind.
I'm Richard Kind." And he's like, "I understand, Richard Kind."
Yeah. That's the joke that the show ends on.
It's over.
And the show got canceled.
And then the show got canceled right after that. And I was like, man, too little, too late. At this point, bring it back. Give me more. Let's see how
I want to
far
see where
can
they go. Yeah.
I want to see what they came. I know that just episode 1 of season 3 would then be them just being like, oh yeah, Fred learned a spell.
If Fred would be the bad guy, maybe they
Fred
kill
would be
Fred.
the bad guy for like an episode and a half, and then it's
Oh,
over.
you think? You think it wouldn't be like a fucking 10-episode arc that they don't find out he's evil until episode 9? Yeah.
I don't think they would have come up with that.
I mean, that's what the season 2 was.
They probably would have been done with it, and then the next episode be like, okay, thank God Fred's gone, but where'd the audiobook go? And then it just cuts to just give it to another character, make them evil.
You know,
and then-
if they followed the formula of season 1 and 2, it would be 10 episodes of who's the new killer who's killing people with witch powers.
I don't know. I
episode
can't focus
9
because we have prom.
Yeah, we episode 9 they realize it's Fred. Episode 10 they
It's the
kill
prom
Fred.
night.
They
And
put
Fred goes carry mode at prom.
and they put Fred in a fucking wood chipper and he dies.
But
and then season
they
2
scoop up the wood.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's alive, but how? And then he realized that his dick was gone, and that'd be like his new character trope.
Season 4 would be all about the audiobook being out there.
It'd just be like, oh, the audiobook's the top streamed book on
Yeah.
Amazon. They're like,
And then in episode
and there
10
would not be a single paranormal thing.
Scooby Doo himself will be in it, but he'll be like,
Scooby Doo would just be like Donald Trump.
yeah, he'll be Donald Trump, and then they'll fucking drop a nuke on him instead of a fucking missile.
So Velma was canceled.
Velma was canceled, and that's the reason we're doing this show that you're watching right now.
It was just such a beautiful little blip that just came and went, and just has so much packed into how it was made and what it was. And it's just a great phenomena that I still don't understand how it got greenlit and how it kept going.
It did the worst thing you can do as like a piece of art, and that be something that is like truly have no impact. Like,
Yeah, it didn't even get people to hate it enough
to watch
to,
all the way to
to
the
get
end,
through.
except
It got
us.
2 episodes of hype from hate, and then people learned that of all things that this show was, above all else, it was just boring.
Yeah.
And that's what did it for me, because going through it, I couldn't get through it with complete clarity. I had to stop taking notes. I had to bring people over.
You had to get drunk.
It was incredibly boring.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I could take a show that has like a message that's the foreground, or a show that's trying to subvert its original IP and like make something new out of it, even if it doesn't do it successfully. But it seemed like this show realized so much that it was going to fail that they put their tongue so far in their cheek that they just didn't even produce a single serious note throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. And it forgot to, like, for a show that was trying to be a comedy so much, it just like wasn't very funny.
It seemed like the people that wrote the show wanted to be, or just shielded themselves behind this idea of being
An edgy
so
comedy.
smart, so ahead of the trend on this, so aware of what's going on. You get conflated with like being confident versus being arrogant when you're writing. And the difference is just results and enjoyability. If you're going to do all this work to have all these opinions about how terrible the industry is, but you can't actually produce something worthwhile, how bad is the normal tropes?
Yeah.
At least when sampled like responsibly.
But the thing is, like, it would say these things about the tropes
And then
and then just
adhere.
do the tropes.
It would take a trope. It would just be a different trope every time. It would just
do it.
Yeah, they'd be like, look at this. It's so annoying when in every single episode, the third person you see is dead. Or in every episode, the love romance thing turns this way. So
If this was a cliche crime show, this would happen, and then it would happen.
and then that would happen, or just an equivalent cliche that's just like opposite of that would happen.
Oh my God, this is as crazy as Redditors online commenting about this.
They just be like, I can't believe the butler did it. And then you turn, you look at the dog, and the dog has like glowing red eyes, and you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
you could have had fun with it at least.
I don't know.
I think that's another big one. It's just the show, they clearly just didn't have fun with it.
It seemed like there was a miserable experience for the people who were supposed to be creatively like at the forefront.
Yeah, and that's one of the good things about Scooby Doo is it was never like Scooby Doo has a serious formula to it, but it always was creative within that formula.
Yeah.
Every episode was different, and when they were callbacks to like classic monsters, it was done in a new way, or it had like a new presentation, because the original show was just pure, we're just making this up.
Yeah, and also
We
the
got
original
$2 and a shoelace.
Yes,
we can make this whole
exactly.
show.
the original show was so low budget. Like Hanna-Barbera made its name as an animation studio by being like
Low budget with a
intuitive.
million shows.
Yes, being intuitive, being able to adapt their formats, and being able to utilize animation shortcuts to create these characters and these franchises that can go on for decades, like Scooby Doo, like the Flintstones, like Jetsons. Like they had a million fucking shows that were all like of a similar quality. Not all of them stuck, but like they were willing to put themselves out there and to
See what sticks.
Yes, they were this scrappy little animation studio that became a juggernaut.
And then Scooby was one of the ones that stuck.
That
And
yeah.
it's still around to this day and still getting new adaptations. And I get you can only do so much with the same source material, but look at how much they did.
Exactly.
You got Pup Named Scooby Doo, and then you got the Monster School with like the Shaggy one where his shirt is red, and
Yeah. All of these things.
all the movies are unique, and they save the movies for like the big monsters that you're like, oh shit, we got a Loch Ness Monster one.
Yes.
Like
And
stuff like that.
Still to this day, every single year, still, Warner Brothers Animation, except maybe the last couple of years because they've been cutting some of them.
Yep.
Like Scooby Doo and Crypto 2 was like on a shelf for years, and then they finally put it out. But like every year, we get a direct-to-video Scooby Doo movie, like one of these. Every single year for the last 25 years, we've been getting them. And those are all still incredibly well animated, incredibly like passionately made. Not all of them are great. Some of them have John Cena in them, and those are funny.
Those are the great ones.
But
Talk about the other ones are the bad ones.
But like they're feature length, they're classic Scooby-Doo. They got the classic voice actors that have been doing it for years.
They just understand like what it is.
Yeah, and
why it's good.
Even though there is a formula, like you were saying, they still continue to push it. Like Velma The first time Velma was ever confirmed to be like a member of the LGBT, like a lesbian or bi or whatever, was in one of those movies, not this. It was in the Trick or Treat one that came out a year before Velma. And those movies are pushing those things in a way that like people enjoy and people are welcoming to and that kids can like and that are family friendly and that fans that have been around the whole fucking time like.
Yep.
And they are doing things that are more engaging and entertaining on a much lower budget than something like Velma and on a much lesser profile and are way less appreciated. And they're doing the fucking pushing the boundary things like with the Velma being gay. And no one's talking about that shit because shit like this is what gets attention. And look at us. We're talking about it. Like, is it like...
It's hard to get our attention. We are stupid.
Yeah. We're fucking
very
dumb.
Because we either got Joe Rogan at our door or we got Huck Tua on the other side and we got to pick.
We're getting
we don't have time
emails
for this.
nonstop from Talk Tua and the Joe Rogan Experience saying, please, Ryan and Danny, we desperately want you on our show. I want to hear about this. I'm like, why? Oh my God, man, this Talk Tua girl.
She's so annoying.
Nonstop.
Got this creepcast guy that keeps banging at the door every now and then. Lex Friedman, who's what?
What does Joe Rogan want to talk to me about?
Has he watched Scooby Doo?
Has he seen Scooby Doo?
I can't talk to this guy.
What is the fuck? The H3 podcast. What about like I'm on the, we're two guys.
I've been on 73 first dates. I've never been on a second. You know why? None of them are up to a high enough caliber in this subject matter.
Exactly.
Ever.
Unbelievable. What is wrong with us?
So much.
Yeah. You packed a shack. You just packed a shack. You can't help yourself. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know what? I bet this whole thing about like right-wing Scooby-Doo media, being Velma in particular, the only one.
Yeah. This is the only Scooby-Doo thing I've ever seen with any politics whatsoever in it, and it's all right-wing.
Yeah. That would probably make a splash on Joe Rogan. Those Austin fellas, those Texas people, they would be like, imagine
I gotta watch this show.
Imagine Velma gets like second life as like a grifter thing.
I'd be so happy. You know that if Velma got like a second life, we would have to quit our jobs and make this so high production just to grab onto that and be like, we were here first. We were here first.
We become like we do the Russell Brand thing where he got canceled and immediately was like a conservative, like right wing.
Russell.
Do you know about that?
Yeah, I remember that. Look, we predicted the apocalypse. I think we can predict a second win for Velma.
I mean, we did legitimately predict the apocalypse. And now, should we call our shot? Should we?
I don't think Velma's coming back.
No, it's not.
it just got canceled, and nobody was watching it even before it got canceled. I think it's dead and buried. But
the Daily Wire guys seem to be really obsessed with like making their own streaming service, right? They're making like conservative Bluey. They're making
come watch us on Rumble and shit like
that. Well, no, Daily Wire Plus.
Oh, so we should make a Scooby Doo like streaming service?
No,
we just rip every episode.
They should buy Velma. They should buy. Imagine one of those crazy like grifter websites buys Velma and continues to make it, but it's more overtly conservative. Like imagine the new norm, like that Twitter show. Where it's like, oh, I hate how everything is different now, but it's Velma, so it's like,
do we make a conservative Velma where it's just trad wife Daphne? She interrupts Freddie, who's on a college campus debating students
who haven't read anything.
Who hasn't read anything. Shaggy has a gun YouTube channel.
Elon Musk is a producer.
Elon Musk is the main villain.
No. He's a good guy.
No, he's a good guy. That at the very end, it's like, who was behind the robot invasion? They like, it's just him. It's like, Elon Musk. He's like, yeah, I really want to preserve the Second Amendment. And,
they unmask him and it's Obama.
I knew it. I would have got away with it too if it weren't for you voters.
Let me be clear. I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids. Period.
They're all just like, oh, he's kind of cool though. Oh God. Yeah, no, this show sucked.
Yeah.
It just sucked. I was so bored watching it. It has so little to say, even though it says so much.
Would Rob Schneider be Scooby?
Peter Dinklage.
No, we need John Voight would need to be in it. We need like actors who don't get work anymore because they're openly theme song by Kid Rock.
Gina, whatever her name is from Mandalorian.
Gina Carano is Velma. Gina Carano. Gina Carano is Velma.
We got a mystery on our hands. Pulls out a gun, and I'm gonna solve it.
They go out of their way to whitewash a character who was originally white. They're like, they made Velma brown. We got to claim her back. They go so far in the other direction. They put Gina Carano in a blonde wig and they make her blonde. Fuck. What is wrong with us?
Velma. So I think we should rate Velma now.
Oh yeah, wait. That's what this is. That's what our
That's
show
what we
is.
sat down to talk about, right?
Let's move this out of the way.
So, quick refresher.
All right. So we have a rating system.
We have 5 things that we rate every episode of Scooby Doo on.
It's like a scale of 1 to 5.
And it's quick note. Daphne's a drug dealer in the show. In the show,
Right.
all of her drugs are named after a bunch of there's Zoinks is
and Jeepers
and
and
shit like that. Anyways, yeah, we made a rating system based on the catchphrases of all the characters.
We don't know if this is what we originally, because we made this up on episode 1.
There's 2 that we're certain about. And the stuff in the middle, it's been a while, so we're reclaiming it today, and we're going back through just to state what is what.
So a 1 out of 5, or like at the bottom of the scale, is you could just point to it. I guess it's a rut row.
Rut row.
And then so that's like bottom of the barrel.
That sucks.
Nothing to it.
Top.
Top is Zoinks.
Zoinks is top because we like Shaggy.
So yeah.
Zoinks is a cool
Zoinks
word.
is
I like
cool.
Zoinks.
So from 1, if 1 is rut row, a 2, we decided. We don't know if this is what it originally was, but it's a Jeepers
It's a
now.
Jeepers because that's kind of just a negative connotation. Just
Right.
not good.
Yeah, it's like Jeepers.
I don't like
Yeah.
that. It sounds copyrighted.
Right.
Yeah, don't like it.
A 3, middle of the road,
I feel 2 ways about this, especially because of what we reviewed today. But
right. Is a Jinkies.
Jinkies is middle of the road, but honestly, there was talk about making a Jinkies the new bottom just because
Just for this.
of Velma. But we'll hash that
I
out
feel
in a
like it would be weird if literally was any higher than like the bottom.
And then number 4 is the legendary Freddy's
catchphrase, which we all
catchphrase
know.
that nobody knows for some.
Yeah.
Hold the phone. That's what Freddy says. That's what he says.
Not a lot of people know this, but in some versions of Scooby Doo, he does just say "hold the phone" as like one often.
Hold the phone, gang.
He goes, "Hold the phone."
Let's split
Did you
up and
just
look for
say
clues?
that?
Like those are Freddy's. They're just more words.
Yeah, it's not as like iconic, and it's not as frequently because a lot of these are usually exclamations.
Yeah,
Like he goes, but "hold the phone" is usually something he says when he's like confused.
every episode he says, let's split up and look for clues. But that's not his catchphrase because then you could say like, "Do you want a Scooby snack?" Would be like Velma's catchphrase or Daphne's, and it's just a common thing, but it's not like their exclamation.
Right. So "hold the phone" is kind of like a 4 out of 5. It's
That's like this is good, but like is it?
it's not a perfect like
yeah.
like iconic one, but it's hold the phone, and I don't even know if "hold the phone." It doesn't matter.
Hold the phone was definitely number 4.
This is what it is now.
That's what it is. So why do we?
All right.
this
So,
is
how
easy to
would
do.
we? Well, I mean, let's weigh all our options.
Okay.
So what we're doing is this is the cancellation special. So should we rank season 1, 2, and Halloween special separately, or should we just rank the episode that this is supposed to be about, which is the Halloween?
Let's
episode?
do season 1 and 2 just
All right.
for fun. I mean,
season 1.
This is such a quick episode.
Yeah, I know. I know we're really speeding through this episode.
This is really quick. We could go back and double through all of season 2 if we want to.
You want to?
No,
Okay.
not even a little bit.
So
I got chills thinking about it. Actually, I don't like that.
season 1, unfortunately, in my opinion, I think I'm gonna have to go with a rut row.
Me too.
I know.
Think, most I would do is like a rut row and a half. That's the absolute. I couldn't even give it a Jeepers in any capacity.
I don't know if you can
Just
give it-
because I think season 2 is worse.
Okay, that's fair.
Season
okay.
1, I would say maybe a row and a half, just because. Oh my God, it was a start, and there's still the future. to
I
make
don't know.
up for it.
I don't know if season 2 is worse
I know it is.
because there's some aspects of season 2 that are a clear step up, but then they fumble them just as hard as season 1.
Season 2's only step up, in my opinion, was Norville's arc.
Yeah, and there was some
even then
aspects
they ruined it.
right.
Season 1 at least like had a mystery, and it wasn't just like a sci-fi thing. Like season 1, as much of the background it was and how uninteresting it was, at least they had one mystery.
I feel like they're equally bad. They're equally rut-row.
They both suck. I think if you put a gun to my head and say pick one to watch,
It would be the first one. A little bit
Yeah.
more cohesive,
that's probably
which
why.
is
just
saying
'cause-
a lot. Which is
yeah,
saying
because season 2, the only reason I would say I want to watch season 2 again is just because
Scrappy.
I don't remember it as well.
yeah,
And
that's true.
that is true. That 20 seconds of Scrappy was hilarious, especially
Well,
because of the
yeah.
ICBM.
yeah, him getting shot with a missile.
But yeah, the rest of it's just unbearable and just
Yeah,
it's got all the sci-fi stuff with the underground organization, and you just can't. Why?
here's what I will say though about the Halloween special. It is the best episode of Velma. By what is the term? By process of elimination.
It just feels wrong because it's like, hey,
It is technically the best episode.
it's like if I cut off your arm and your foot, which one was better?
technically, I want my arm back.
I want my arm, but it's like
I want both.
which one felt better to do? It's like they
Yeah.
both sucked.
Yeah.
So yes, here's my caveat though. It's 40 minutes long. That's 40 minutes of
That's
Velma.
2 episodes of Velma.
That it could have just been one. I didn't need an extra 40 minutes of Velma. I'm a little insulted by that, but
By process of elimination,
It's got
it's
Sweetie
got a
in it.
monster. It's got Sweetie.
it's got a monster.
It's got a monster in
Okay,
it.
it's the best episode just because it's the first one that has like a
Well, no,
monster.
Scrappy was a monster.
That's just how Scrappy normally is.
No, he. Oh, yeah. hey, we are a pro Scrappy podcast.
Hey,
hey, you. Hey.
oh god, yeah. No, it's got the
so
coolest monster.
By process of elimination, the Halloween special is the Zoinks, right? I killed him. He died. For those of you listening
Oh,
at
that
home
hurt.
who don't have
That
who
hurt.
don't have video, Ryan died.
Oh,
He died right
oh, that
now.
was so gross what you just said. Oh, you know, if I squint and I look real hard at it, kind of looks like a bit of a joint when you think about it.
If I turn my head,
I turn my head
I
real
squint
quick
my
and you
eyes.
spit in my eyes real quick.
it does kind of look like Scooby Doo.
It's like that one meme where it's like, you know, if this was cooked a different way, it'd be like a British carbonara. And he's like, yeah, if my grandma had wheels, she'd be a bike.
Fuck. That's the official. What is it? The official fucking. The final. The final verdict of the Scooby Duo podcast is that the Velma Holiday Special is a zoinks.
With great power comes great responsibility. And you're doing something here. We were good on our ethos this whole time.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you're listening to this on a podcast, if I was able to get back into our fucking Spotify account and upload this as a podcast, which I don't think I can. I
Why
think it's
not?
gone.
Why?
I think Anchor was our old sponsor, and it doesn't work anymore.
You gotta try.
I gotta try. You can follow us on that shit. He's Ryan Gallagher on Instagram, right? Is that your Instagram?
Ryan the Gallagher.
He's Ryan the Gallagher. I'm DCR Films or Dan Reguino on Twitter. Fuck.
I'm overdosing on Shaq.
Have a cookie.
I'm scared.
If you want us to do more of this, it's not really up to you. We're probably gonna, but we have to figure it out.
We predicted the end of the world.
We can do whatever we want.
We cut out so much of us predicting the end of it.
I don't have that audio anymore. That was on my Mac. I don't have that. I don't use that anymore.
If we find it, we gotta release it, edit it, and it'll be a gospel.
Oh, just like 10.
Just put church organs in the background.
There
It'll sound
is-
like Jonestown.
There's stuff that was censored in our earliest episodes of this show, and some of that stuff was this talking about COVID that we just felt uncomfortable leaving in. And now, in hindsight, if we had left that in, it's insane how much we talked about like ration lines and like having to
Toilet
like,
paper,
quarantining
ration lines, closing down our immigration. Like
That's what fucking happened in real life.
we were spot on. So yeah, Velma was great.
Yeah, that's a Zoinks.
The first 2 seasons are terrible, but it's worth enduring just for the beautiful finale that is the Halloween special.
Yeah, the Halloween special is a 5 out of 5. That's the final verdict of us.
Best episode we've ever watched of any Scooby Doo so far. I think I'd prefer to watch the Halloween special over and over instead of just watching any
Scooby-Doo
of
Zombie Island. Dude.
What's New Scooby Doo is just terrible in comparison. Or
Zombie Island, what even is that? Bye, Velma.